Beyond.
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 Yeah, mother.
Damn it. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Beyond number 504. I'm Max Scoville. I'm joined by Brian Altano.
Hey, baby cakes.
Jonathan Dornbush.
Charmed, I'm sure.
And Marty Sleva.
Hey, both of those.
Why?
Marty.
Oh, womp womp.
You can't just be like, I don't like the catchphrase and then not have one of your own. You have to be like problem and solution oriented.
Incredulity is my catchphrase.
Classic
What?
melancholic Marty.
Incredulity.
So, sometimes
Mary
this is a
Poppins.
PlayStation podcast where we talk about all sorts of cool games for the Sony console of our choosing. You know, they make a bunch of them. Anyway, we got
What?
a lot of stuff coming up.
Make one.
That's not even. That's
Vita.
Not, no, they made 4.
Not now.
Yeah, they make a bunch of them.
Mostly
Whole
focus
bunch.
on one of
Yeah, a
them.
whole bunch. Head on down to the store. You can get all the ones you want. Anyway, yeah, it's the middle of the summer. There's not a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about it anyway. A couple games come out. There's Pyre. There's Fortnite. There's Sundered. Somebody bought a thesaurus, and they're named video game developers. Yeah, let's get into it. Who played what?
What do you guys want to
Let's
start
talk about
with?
Sundered. Let's talk
Let's
about
talk about
Sundered.
Sundered. So Sundered is a new game that just launched this week. It's a sort of procedurally generated Metroidvania. Buzzwords.
Ooh. What does
and-
that mean?
Okay, so I'll put it this way. So it's kind of a hack and slash 2D game. It's got sort of rogue light elements to it in that like you sort of head down into this deep kind of weird Turkish cavern and kill what I believe are cyborg bugs and then collect their orbs and then bring them back up to this guy who's got a very thick Tunisian accent.
So what you're telling me is it's a video game.
It definitely is. It certainly is.
Turkish or Tunisian?
I'm making stuff up here. It's not real. This is not real. I'm lying. That's what I'm doing. So no, you go downstairs into the basement of the video game. You kill bad guys and you collect all these orbs and you bring them back up and you level up this gigantic skill tree. And that's pretty much the entire focus and the crux of this game.
Okay.
Is getting more powerful.
And
right?
the thing is, like, each time you die, you restart from the beginning, but with all of the skills and experience and everything.
So it's a little more forgiving than
even like a Souls game. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to go back down and retrieve your souls for, penalty of possibly not to.
So what I'm realizing as I age into oblivion on planet Earth is that I prefer roguelites over roguelikes because of stuff like that. They are forgiving enough to sort of be like, hey, you get to keep some stuff. You don't start from zero at the beginning. You know, it's not like square bottom. That's it. But what I also realized is that I like level designs when it comes to Metroidvanias and 2D platformers, and that procedurally generated stuff just doesn't gel with me. And I was reading reviews on this game to see if like how it's connecting with people, and people really like it, and rightfully so, because it's a really gorgeous game. The combat's really fun, and you're sort of doing this mix between hack and slash and this roll mechanic, which, kind of like a lot of games you play nowadays, leaves you sort of unable to get hurt during that minuscule period. And I like all of that. And I like traversal in this game, and I like combat in this game, and I like the art in this game. But I don't find myself connecting with video games that are procedurally generated anymore.
Yeah.
Because they're different every time, which is great for people looking for a new game every time. But they're also different every time.
Sure.
Which means that I can't be like, this is my favorite part when this happens.
Yeah.
It's also procedurally generated video games in a scenario like this also kind of momentarily and occasionally kick you into environments that just straight up don't work.
Right.
That's the thing is with procedural generation is your math needs to be perfect. Because if it isn't, then you get tossed in a room and you're like, this isn't fun. This
Yeah.
isn't fun
Yeah.
either
Well-
because the design's not great, because the enemy placement isn't good.
So
Yeah.
it lends itself so well to roguelikes and roguelite because that's a entire genre about repeating yourself
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
about going back out there and kind of getting caught in that loop. But with Metroidvania, that's a genre that is so dependent on solid level design.
Yeah.
And like having a certain level of curation and, intention. And it just, if you kind of, you toss these two words up in the air and it's like, I love Metroidvanias, but procedurally generation, I'm just like, I'm cool, thank you.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and they seem almost diametrically opposed with each other. Like when I think of Super Metroid or Castlevania Symphony of the Night, like I think of those levels being bespokely designed by an incredible artist,
Right.
Not only visually but in terms of every nook and cranny of it feeds into the mechanics that I slowly get throughout the game and the abilities and everything. And so to take that away and have some of it be random seems a bit strange.
There's an intentionality to everything in that world. Whereas even if the combat is super fun, you're enjoying all that. I can see how, for me, it's like I remember Castlevania games because it was, oh, I had to go this way to get to that part of the castle
Right.
to do that, or the same with the Metroid game.
Well, like
Yeah.
the entire crux of Symphony of the Night is when that cool secret thing happens.
Yes.
I don't know if we can talk. It's been
We can
so
talk
long.
about the inverted
I-
castle at
it's
this
been
point. I think.
21
I've only
yeah.
played the first 20 minutes, so
Got
I
it.
prefer
Okay.
if you just...
Well,
cast-
towards the end of the game, if you're good enough, the castle flips upside down, and I can't imagine
What?
that. Yeah, you play the entire.
I want to
game.
do a spit take.
Also, Alucard backwards is Dracula.
Grant Dynasty.
So is race car backwards. It's race car. Same word twice. Crazy shit. So the weird thing is, like, if that game had been procedurally generated, the castle would be upside down, and you'd be like, so.
You really messed that one up.
So
Yeah.
I don't really know how that works for. I mean, and I think that like a lot of games are leaning into this now because it's like a cool thing to do, and the tech is incredibly impressive to
Yeah.
be able to create something
Yeah.
that can do that on its own. But I don't think the lasting appeal is going to be there. I think we're enjoying these games right now, and I don't know where they'll be. And I don't mean like every procedurally generated game because some games work better than others.
Yeah.
But I mean, so like. It's a cool game. Check out some Let's Plays, some YouTube videos. Maybe it'll click with you more than it did with me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm constantly searching for like the next Metroidvania that it will just like truly grab me, and this one didn't. And so my hunt continues. but-
yeah.
With procedurally generated stuff, I think that there are instances where it works really well. Like Spelunky is
Yeah.
a good
Yeah,
example.
which just hit its 5-year anniversary.
Yeah, and then and Rogue Legacy is another one.
Yes.
And then there are ways you see it, like in the guns in Borderlands, where it's just sort of like it's this bottomless pit of like stats and things, and that always bugged me because it's a sense of like sort of constant buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
You know, like you can spend all day at the supermarket trying to find the perfect apple, but then if you eat it, then you're like, what's the next best one? There's,
Yeah.
there's a limitless amount of like kind of nuance
Yeah.
there. And it's like I think that there's a way somewhere between like Spelunky's level design and Borderlands weapon system where it's the procedural element is in there and it does something, but you've got sort of a more structured game crafted around it. I just don't know what that looks like now.
I mean, you look at something like Minecraft, which totally
Sure,
works
yeah.
like this, right? Because all the elements are still there somewhere. I don't know if they've ever screwed up and accidentally rendered a Minecraft world that's all sand. But I don't think so,
Yeah.
right? Like that would be like a massive glitch.
Yeah.
So like when you play that game, it's sandboxy and there's stuff
But not too
everywhere.
sandboxy.
Not too sandboxy. And there's stuff everywhere, right? And you can all the elements you need, all the ore and everything is there. And you're not really like you're not timed or anything like that. It's a lot slower paced. So I think obviously it's a mechanic that can work. I just don't necessarily think it works for 2D games of this nature. But again, I'm in the minority in this because this game's getting great reviews. So, try it out for yourself, check out some videos, see if you like it. But
So on the subject of Minecraft, a game that also dropped,
Yeah.
Fortnite.
which I think handles procedurally generated stuff really well.
Yeah. So this is
I'm
a game
super interested about
we
that.
have
I
been
played it.
we have been talking about this game since 2012.
Yeah, when did you
Something like
guys
that?
first preview this game?
I think
1995.
I mean, seriously, like
Yeah.
2013.
No, it's been
Well
a
over a
2014?
fortnight ago.
Yeah, it was a very long time ago.
This was the first game announced running on Unreal 4. That's how old it is.
Wow.
Yeah. This was, I believe, before current gen systems were even out or fully announced yet. This was a thing that Epic was kicking around, and it's sort of procedurally generated crafting survival heavy zombie defense.
Jeez.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds about
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
And it's out now. They made it. They made the game. That's it.
yeah. You did a stream for Fortnite.
I did, yeah. So we got to play with the devs. We played for about 2 hours. I also did the interview at E3 where they showed off. It's a game that shows off really well. So it's the kind of thing where they just drop you into a level, which is procedurally generated. And the crux of this game is basically building forts, which is like really fun and like charming because the art style is kind of goofy. And then these sort of like hordes of cartoon undead, kind of like over the top Left 4 Dead-ish zombies and ghosts and other evil minions of the night.
and just minions.
Actual minions.
Yeah.
Children of the Night.
So you go around and you break stuff and you collect sort of elements and hash them together and build these kind of giant forts. And you can set down traps, you can set down springboards. There's this very cartoony element to it. There's tons of different guns and there's different classes of characters. So when you play with friends, it's really fun because it's just like all four of us could be playing at once. We all head to different corners of the earth. You have a sniper rifle, so we build you a sniper tower. and you can go up there and just kind of hang out. And then I'm down on the ground with a melee weapon. I'm really much more boots on the ground. I want to smash dudes in the face. And then you guys are just running around with like shotguns and machine guns and bombs and stuff like that. And everyone is trying to tear down your thing. So you have this ramp, like sort of like crazy element of being like, we have to protect our base, but also protect ourselves and protect each other. And the core of the base is this sort of nucleus that can't be destroyed. And I just think it's really fun. And this is the kind of game that like I went from being like passing interest in to doing a stream and being like, this is going to be big.
Yeah.
And the game's already sold over 500,000 copies as of a week ago, probably way more by now.
Yeah. Holy
crap.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's going to reach a lot of people. And it's like it's in a weird open beta thing now that you can pay into to get a bunch of stuff, but it's going free to play next year, I believe. So I think that if you want to wait, by the time you jump in, like there's going to be a billion things to do in this
Yeah.
game. And it's got this really cool sort of like pinata mini game system where you collect things, and how well you do and how well you play. You collect cards that open up pinatas that you can smash open that drop guns and candy and all this other kind of stuff.
Oh my, I love
which is like
pinatas.
incredibly satisfying.
Yeah.
Like you have melee weapons and you bash it against these like really realistic, almost Viva Pinata looking pinatas. And you beat the hell out of them and crap drops on the floor and you pick them up and you get cool stuff.
There's an art into the like sort of the sensation you get from opening up like a random chest or like a loot box or something.
Yeah.
In something like Overwatch or
Yep.
this, and I feel like they're really nailing it with the aesthetic of the pinata.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this is like we just talked about how randomized stuff doesn't work so well with some things. And I think for here, it totally does. Like you can sort of, and the cool thing about this is there's a lot of different settings where the world can be randomized. It's not like Minecraft, which just like Minecraft. Like there's like suburban areas where you can go into a 3-story house that has the entire front of the building ripped off and go upstairs and just wreck the TV and mine it, and then
Yeah.
wreck the bathtub and mine it, and just like loot everything and build something new out of it. Or you can be like in the woods or in a forest or in like a canyon. And depending on the layout, like there's a lot more verticality at play. Like we got really lucky. We were playing this level that just had like a bunch of different sort of tower hills, and we built this vertical platform above them, and the guys were trying to get up there and couldn't. But one of our guys fell off and like fell down in the pit, and we're like, yeah, sorry, dude. It's not worth it. Like, I
lived
think
down there
there's
now.
something
Yeah.
really fun about that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think if you play with the right people, it's really cool. Even if you play yourself with bots, like I said about putting Max in the sniper tower, like you'll have to make those decisions on your own and build the right vessels and areas for people to hide in.
Yeah.
Like a sniper, if you put him in a tower and you wall him off on everything but one side, he's like, I got to shoot out of this way. So you kind of tunnel enemies his way, which you can do by creating sort of an intricate system
Yeah.
of that, and then put all that at use. So
Yeah.
I think this works for
I'm
people.
really excited to see what happens with this, because we're at a
Yeah.
point when this game was first announced. There was Minecraft, and there was like Left 4 Dead, and I think we were seeing the beginning of like DayZ. Maybe
Yeah.
that was so like still very early on, but now we're at this point where these kind of like sort of weird teamwork based survival-y games, like we're like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is like a weird game where people are just kind of dropped on their own, and they're like, what are you gonna do? Go for it.
Yeah, it's what the most popular game on Steam right
Yeah.
It's
now.
the
And
most
like-
popular non-Valve
non-Valve
game
game
ever.
Yeah.
right?
it's
And not
insane.
coming to PlayStation currently, which pisses me off.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Get on the phone,
Yeah.
Shuhei.
But you
Please,
know,
I love you. I'm trying to threat you.
I'm excited to see what Fortnite does. I think it's also really cool that it has spent this long in development. I feel like they've been tweaking it and just really play testing it and trying to make something that does work in the wild. It's hard to do that without just kind of being like, hey, check it out, But we've seen stuff like like Ark Survival Evolved, where it spends too long kind of in early access or like public beta.
Did you see the full version of the game just got delayed again? And it's it's tough, right?
It's cool to have, but it's, I don't know. There's that sweet spot between kind of creating something in a vacuum and creating something for the masses and letting sort of too many cooks into the kitchen.
Yeah, and I saw like some backlash against the pricing model for this thing, and it's justifiable to a degree because this will ultimately be a free-to-play game. But literally everything becomes cheaper if you wait.
Sure.
For the most part, especially video games, like very few of them get more expensive over time unless they're like box sealed NES
Especially now in
games.
the age of digital games.
Yeah, and digital games especially.
If
So I
you
mean,
wait a year, you'll always get the Game of the Year edition.
yeah, totally.
All the
I mean, when we spent like $120 on Battlefront, and then we talked about it for a year, and you can get that full game for like $15 in certain sales now. And it's like, yeah, just jump in. Like that's how much it costs to get lunch in some places.
Yeah, I mean, CDs used to be $20-$30.
Yeah.
Now they're like, you go to Goodwill.
Yeah,
$1.
and it's
Yeah.
easy. Like if I don't know if you didn't sort of grow up playing games in the '90s and the early aughts, it's easy to sort of disregard Epic as just like, oh, it's that team that's been making this game for years, and then all they do is make an engine. But it's like they made Unreal and
Yeah.
Unreal Tournament, which were some of the biggest PC games of all time and some of the most influential games, especially multiplayer games.
Yeah, and I
Also-
think it's great news that the game is selling so well. Obviously, because that means the team will support it for a long time, and that honestly could have gone either way. Especially like you hate to see anyone work on a game for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, and then it just happens and disappears. Like you look at like The Last Guardian, right? I mean, obviously there was no version of that game where there was like DLC and stuff like that, but had it sold maybe 5 million, I mean, there'd be an entirely different conversation around it. Like, would we be getting a sequel to it? Maybe would we be getting like, I don't know, a VR mission? Like, you never know, right?
Yeah.
But that story,
Penultimate Guardian.
yeah,
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that story has been told and it's over now. So I mean, Fortnite's a different thing, and I think it's going to keep growing, and that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think also Epic has they have the luxury of like they do get a ton of money from the Unreal Engine being licensed out, and
Yeah.
they're also, I guess they're sort of owned by Tencent, the big Chinese mobile game
Yeah.
company. So they're kind of sitting pretty in terms of having some wiggle room to develop stuff
Yeah.
internally. I
And
hope so.
And they've done some awesome. They did Robo Recall, the VR game, which is one of the coolest VR games that
one's
exists
great,
right now.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So in other news, Pyre.
Yes.
Is,
Yeah.
Marty, you want to talk about this?
Yes.
Pyre's
playing
so
this?
Did you get a
good.
chance to play it?
Oh yeah, I'm
Okay.
like 2/3 of the way through the
Okay.
story, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Go easy on spoilers.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna go easy on spoilers because there is like a very cool thing
Turn.
that turns
Yeah.
the game on its head. Yeah, we mentioned it
Does the
briefly.
castle get flipped upside down?
The entire pyre.
Wow.
Yeah, the pyre gets flipped upside down.
Alucard,
Pyre backwards is Europe.
the Darkula.
But the more and more like I play this game, like it is so stupid to describe it this way, but it's like a visual novel mixed with religious basketball.
Yeah. No,
It
it's
is like-
100%. Yeah.
It is like it's like
What?
it's
You're half, or I don't even know the split exactly. It's probably less than half.
Hold
but
on.
You're, yep.
Religious basketball?
Yes. Yeah.
the actual
It's
gameplay is
NBA Jam,
you
but it
compete
has a
in the
religious
rights.
purpose. Yeah.
which are-
don't you have like a figurine of Jesus like dunking a
Oh
basketball?
yeah, I do. I have
Yeah.
a toy of that.
Yeah. So think
I put Cable in there too. So
think of that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
With a book.
yeah.
The book.
Wow.
yeah.
It's called Nintendo Power.
Yeah, and that's what the reader reads. You don't know that because you haven't
Yeah.
played Pyre yet.
Reading is actually a big part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is fundamental.
But the actual the core gameplay is so fun and the strategy gets so deep. And,
Yeah.
and if you played Bastion or Transistor, you understand the sort of depth that Supergiant can go for. But the strategy of you choose 3 different characters to have on your religious basketball team, and you face 3 different other characters in their religious
Scottie
basketball
Pippen?
team. Yeah, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Michael Jordan.
Really?
No, they're like various like fantasy characters.
Yeah.
But they're of like different like weights and speeds. So think
You guys are not. You're not goofing.
No.
This
No,
is
we're not-
really
yeah.
a
One is-
religious basketball
Yeah.
game.
One of them is named Sir Gilman, and he is a worm from the sea.
Yeah.
And he's a knight.
But all the characters have different forms of movement, different
Yeah.
abilities to jump, different speeds, different strengths, different special attacks, and each one, when you use them in the rights, you choose 3 to bring in. Those 3 level up more than the rest of them. And the whole thing is so there's the basketball and the hoops, and the only time you can only move one character at a time, and when you get the basketball, you're tossing it back and forth. But when you have the basketball, you're defenseless. You can't use your attacks, and so what you want to do is kill the other team with a character that doesn't have the basketball, and then try to get one of your players to get a basketball. This is a very hard game to explain.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well,
How much of what you're describing is just regular basketball? Because I'm not really a sports guy.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the thing is, it's the main thing about it is that split of the basketball style, like NBA Jam 3-on-3 sort of thing. But then also a heavy part of it is the outside of that, where you are talking and learning about the world and the characters, and you're making dialogue
The
decisions.
world of basketball.
No, the world of these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the rights.
Yeah.
But
The basketball game is called Right.
You're
R-I-T-E.
you're all basically outcasts in this place called the Downside, which is where people who have been kicked out of this nation called the Commonwealth now live, and
Yeah.
you basically all are competing in these
Yeah,
town.
it sort of feels like a purgatory, and the way you
Yes.
get out of purgatory is by competing in the rights.
You just have to shut up and jam.
You have
Yeah.
to shut up and
Yeah.
jam.
You-
Yeah,
There's trouble
yeah.
in the Windy City.
There's a lot of talk, but
Here's
Wait,
your
but that's-
chance to do your dance at the.
Yeah.
At the
That's how
basketball.
Snake gets out of trouble in Escape from L.A.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Huh.
But you grow very attached to certain characters,
Yeah.
and then you have to make these really tough decisions that like not only will influence the story going forward, but also influence the game mechanically and influence the religious basketball going forward.
Please stop saying that.
I don't know. That's
The
just
religious basketball.
yeah.
All right.
It sounds so dumb, but it is so good.
I love it,
It is
yeah.
so stupidly
Well,
good.
I
Is this
love
from
the-
Supergiant?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Why don't they call it Bastion Ball? So what I was going to ask you guys, like, what if I
My thing
wasn't?
is-
No,
sorry, go ahead.
get through it.
Well, I was going to say, like, in terms of Supergiant games, it's probably the least like Transistor and Bastion. Like, those are
That's
much
exactly
more
what I was gonna ask.
of a piece than
Yeah.
this, because those you are walking around in a world and exploring it. There are clear, like, gameplay links, and you can see things like it. I remember distinctly in Bastion, it was like you could turn on specific things to make each level harder for yourself. There are things like that in this game
Yeah.
for each of the battles.
Yeah.
But it's very much, this game is a much more, like, you're part of this world and we're building out the story and delivering these characters and this idea of this entire crazy world that I love. But you're not really walking around it. You're more exploring it via the conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have just a huge issue with Supergiant games. It's just a personal taste thing. I've tried so hard to like Bastion and Transistor. Aesthetically, I think they're really cool in their own separate ways. And then mechanically, I know there's like really deep systems there, but I feel like they're almost kind of disparate. Like the fact that they're like, oh, here's like Bastion, for instance, was that wasn't procedurally generated. That just had the world.
No,
pop
I
up.
mean, the
yeah,
world
yeah,
was
yeah.
literally being
Yeah.
created in
Yeah.
front of you. It was bespoke.
It felt like that was kind of fitting because it felt like there was no ground there. Like they designed the parts of the world that seemed most interesting, and the systems were there to have like a really just a solid gameplay experience. But like, I don't know, there was it was like a weirdly unsettling feeling for me. Like there was the kind of the universe you're in is almost abstract or surreal,
Yeah.
and it's just this kind of seems like more of the same because it's religious basketball. But I mean, if it's cool systems, then
I mean, I feel like there's probably, if the thing there for you with Transistor was that, like, it felt like the world was kind of on the periphery of it,
Yeah.
this is very much like the world and these characters are in your face a lot more.
Okay.
Like, Bastion did keep you kind of removed with the case of the narrator. Like, he's narrating that story
Right.
to you about, and the character is called the Kid.
Yep.
The storytelling in Bastion is very sparse, but here it is a focal point of the game. And for me, it's the thing of, like, the bummer thing about it is that I can't walk around this world. Like I was saying to Marty and I think Andrew, like I want to write short stories about some of these characters in this world because I'm like, I want more. Like I want to walk around in that town that they go to.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of my thing is the fact that you are walking around in Bastion and it just didn't feel like there's a narrator going on about it and it didn't seem like the world was actually there for it to be narrating. But in this
Yeah.
case, if my imagination's filling in the blank, like maybe that works.
Yeah, for me that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's because there's a ton.
It's interesting. 'Cause I usually have the opposite effect with game worlds that don't feel fully fleshed out, where I start to see through the seams and it doesn't feel like true escapism to me. There's like a lot of old games where there's just like the background is just the JPEG and you're like, oh, there's not actually like a mountain there. That's
Yeah.
not real. There's a lot of video games where like you are told the story or experience the world through cutscenes and through narrative. And without actual exploration, it sort of feels like you're like stuck in an elevator in a building that you can't walk around in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little like don't think of it as open world in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Witcher or Dragon Age or
Sure,
anything.
no.
But everything that is there and the characters and what they all bring to the table and feeding into this main overarching story while simultaneously the more time you spend with a character, the deeper you get into who they were and why they were cast out of society. So yeah, you're sort of given the ability to focus on specific characters in a really interesting way. Like if you find someone interesting, like pull them into your party, talk to them more, spend your time leveling them up when you have like a free night.
And you'll be rewarded for
Yeah, a little
by learning more about
it feels a little bit like Persona 5 in that respect where you are building up. It's less confidence and more like you're going deeper and deeper into a specific character story when
Yeah.
you do have a free moment.
And also just aesthetically, like the game is gorgeous. Darren Korb, who has been the composer for every Supergiant game, did the soundtrack too, and I love it.
It's so good.
Like it's very specific too. They have different tracks for each of the characters and sort of the different teams of enemies you fight, and it's all of a piece, but can be very different. It sounds
And it is weird because there is like a standings like in the same way there is in the NBA where you
Yeah.
fight the same teams in rights multiple times and you see what your win-loss record is. And if you lose a right, the story continues. And I totally recommend if you lose in this game to not restart.
Yeah.
Is because to deal with your consequences in a really
Interesting.
interesting way. Yeah.
Oh, that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
It sounds like a little bit XCOM too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, where you have to, like, your story is sort of, failure is a part of your story,
right,
as
yeah.
opposed to, well, it's game over, but I'm just going to restart.
It's obviously built into the dialogue that they've created, but it feels very cool to be like, oh, I messed up, and that character remembers that I messed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that rules.
Oh,
Play Pyre.
he's on Pyre. Boom shakalaka.
NBA Jam.
Anyway, from downtown, Patapon. They remastered Patapon. They're back. Those little asterisks or whatever. Those little things. Those little marching boys. Do we have anything? Greg Miller doesn't host the show anymore. Hasn't hosted the show for like 2.5
Oh, but
years.
he's very excited for
Yeah.
Patapon.
So how's that?
I played Patapon because he talked about it so much on this show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got the magic touch.
Yeah, I love Patapon, and I don't know. I think it is cool that this game that hasn't had a new game in 5 years.
Still doesn't have a new one. Just
Still doesn't have a new one,
Yeah.
a remastered. But I don't know. To me, this was announced sort of at the same time as like Parappa and Wipeout and everything, and even Crash, where it's like, hey, I feel like a lot of these are proofs of concept of like, let's test the waters. Like, are people still interested in this? And I feel like with Crash, it was like, well, yes, people are clearly interested. So I would be shocked if we don't get more Crash down the line.
Yeah.
But like with Parappa and Wipeout, I don't think people are like, it's not really setting the world on fire. So I'm curious to see what this does.
Well, and
Yeah.
even smaller PSP stuff like Loco Roco. And
Yeah.
PS2 are like of a piece to me, or it was like really interesting, neat ideas that were super fun, but on a system that generally the public at large didn't have the access
Yeah.
to that they do on PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a game like the art style it was minimalist, so still holds up incredibly. So like Loco Roco or Sound Shapes.
Yeah.
There's also a game. Was there ever a mobile version? Because I just want a phone. I want this on my phone.
I don't think so, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was, it wasn't the actual
It was
game.
something
It was
bad.
like a
yeah.
match three,
But
catch 'em all.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, this is like a nice kind of like stand-in for backwards compatibility or like a full library of like classics to be like,
Yeah.
hey, here we remastered it. It looks good. It plays nice.
Yeah.
It's probably like $10, $20.
Yeah, it still plays like religious field hockey.
There you go. Just field
That's what
hockey.
Patapon
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think you're coming back. I'm not going to let you on the show anymore. Keep saying things that are maybe offensive, if nothing else, just really
I
confusing.
like religious field hockey. So that's my favorite sexual position.
Oh, now it's offensive.
Now it's
You
bad.
ruined
So
it.
what you
that
did?
was bad.
Real bad.
It's real bad.
All right, so one game that is coming out for PSN this week is The Long Dark.
Oh, it's like religious long distance running.
It has nothing. It's not at all with that.
The Long Dark is my favorite sexual position.
All right, we're gonna move on.
Beyond.
No,
Stop that. This is a game. This is like a first-person survival game, kind of
Yeah.
not horror-ish, but like you're in the wild. You're in like a plane crash or something. You're walking around the woods and trying to not eat your own legs or whatever.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous. It's very kind of like it's not cell shaded, but sort of painterly. Like I'd compare it to how like the Telltale's Walking Dead kind of looks, like a little bit stylized, but still like you can tell things are dark and gritty.
It's like trying to survive in the wilderness in like the thing without the thing
Right.
being out there.
But there's like wolves and stuff.
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
might freeze to death.
Yeah.
I remember hearing about this for ages and being like, why did this just come out for? It just came out for PlayStation, but it was on Steam Early Access in like 2014.
Years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think it had that same kind of misfortune that you get with some early access games, like for instance like Ark Survival Evolved or whatever, where they're testing this thing and there's no like boom, surprise, it's out. There's no red carpet premiere. It's just kind of this weird sort of slow rolling launch.
Yeah, it's weird how rolling launch is the best way to
Yeah.
describe a lot of video game launches now, where they just sort of like putter out and then over the course of like 2 years, it's like now available on everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now it's really a real available game to
Yeah.
buy.
Yeah, and I'm really curious about this game. Like I did that thing where I'm like, oh, I'll wait until the thing is till it's finished, and then 2 years later I'm like, oh, it's out for the thing. Well, I guess I'll play it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw stuff like Don't Starve blew up. And
Yeah.
that was big when it came to PS4 and everything. So I could see this game finding a huge audience.
Yeah, it does have a story mode also
Yeah.
called Winter Mute. So if the like sort of
Open-ended survival.
isn't for you, that it has that option as well.
Awesome.
It's also weird that you have this on there. They just announced that there's a movie adaptation coming, which
Yeah,
seems
that was literally
weird.
this morning.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Really?
Hinterland, the studio behind the game, announced that, hey, this is coming as a movie. There's no director cast set yet.
So it's a video game movie.
But the creative director of the studio put out a statement in the press release saying that like his intention was always to create products that could span across mediums, and he's penning the script for the movie.
Okay.
That's cool.
And they created a short 5-minute film called Elegy, starring Christopher Plummer. That was a proof of concept to give you an idea of what the like tone of this movie should be. It's directed by someone who's not attached to the movie. Christopher Plummer is not attached to the film, but the whole thing was like, if you want to know what this is going to be like, here's these 5 minutes.
That
And,
rules.
yeah.
So you play as a plumber.
Yeah, that was originally Super Mario's
Fight
name was
these-
Christopher Plummer.
Yeah. No, I think that's interesting. I haven't played the story mode of this yet, so I don't know what it does to kind of set itself apart. But I put this in kind of the same category as something like I don't know, like a Call of Duty movie or like a Firewatch movie, where you're like, well,
It's a Call of Duty cinematic universe. I just have to correct. it.
sorry, I apologize.
It's the CODCU. Come on, get it together, man.
God damn it. But no, like it's there's either you have something that is entirely really focused and you're taking a story and you're lifting it out of one medium into another, or you have something where you're like, it has the name, but it's got the same gun.
Well, like
Well, it seems his intention was always to like be able to make these things
Yeah.
be a TV show or movie. So
Yep.
clearly, whatever story he was making, he had that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, like there's plenty of movies where people are out in the ice and they're starving and there's like, there's wolves after them or whatever.
Ice Age.
Ice
Yeah,
Age 2.
Ice Age.
well, I
yeah.
mean, like
Ice
there's
Age 3: The Meltdown.
there's been weirder things to adapt into a movie. Like this makes more sense. We got an Emoji movie this weekend. To me, Emoji is just like I'm gonna hit the eggplant button when I'm too drunk to write penis.
They made a movie out of
the eggplant button when I'm too drunk to write penis.
They made a movie out of that 30-second YouTube video called Lights Out.
Oh yeah,
Like, hey, it's a movie now. It's 2 hours.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go see it.
So yeah, this could be a great movie. It's the producer of Resident Evil's attached. I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, I'm curious about the game. I think the game sounds more interesting to be like, hey, here's like you make up your own story.
Yeah, I'm way more interested in sort of survival stuff than just straight up like, oh, there's zombies again. Like, I'm fine with zombies. I don't actually have the same fatigue a lot of people have with that kind of stuff. But I really like that sort of like lost in the woods, like have to craft and hunt and gather to survive. Like,
Yeah.
if that's really what it's all bringing together. There was this game on the DS.
I was actually going to say
Lost
that
in
game.
Blue?
Yes.
Did you play
yeah,
Lost in Blue?
I played Lost in Blue.
Dude.
I bought it because of the IGN coverage of that game.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Those suckers.
Yep. Craig Harris.
Yeah, it's not a great game. It's incredibly hard,
Yeah.
but it was like really interesting because you had like energy and health and stamina meters that you had to take care of, and you had to like hunt and gather and make fishing poles and catch stuff and build shelter, and it got very obtuse towards the end of it.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
But
it was almost impossible to beat.
The
but-
basic idea of it, it wasn't like I haven't really played any of those games before that.
yeah,
like
it was
that,
part of the
in that genre.
Survival Kids series.
Yes, yeah, and it was a super interesting introduction to that kind
Yeah.
of game.
Same.
Yeah.
They're
They're
and
putting that in a movie as well with Christopher Plummer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm into
It's
that.
part of this Christopher Plummer cinematic universe.
Yep.
The CPC.
So another game, we've been talking about this kind of on and off for a while now. Dino Frontier is finally out this week. This
Yeah.
is PSVR timed exclusive from Uber Entertainment, who are the guys who did Wayward Sky, which
which is far and away my favorite PSVR launch game.
that's, I would say, definitely the most like, this is a game that is designed for VR.
Yeah.
It's also a game and not just a little funny experience.
Yeah, I think that was the first thing in VR that really taught me that VR is not just front and center something for first person experiences. VR is something that can take a third person like board game style approach or playing with toys and make it incredibly
I think
fascinating.
that's arguably what is most effective.
Yeah,
at least
I totally
personally.
agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree, and I think for PSVR especially, it works really well because it works around the limitations of the controls and the sort of like that visibility bubble, that biodome that you're in every time you get in PSVR.
Yeah.
'Cause you reach too far and your arms start like wiggling and
Yeah,
jittering
yeah.
out and stuff like that. So this kind of defeats that. And Wayward Sky was really cool because it let you solve puzzles with this tiny little world that you felt like this kind of giant overseeing, felt like you're floating in the clouds. And Dino Frontier, we got to play it at PSX and again at E3, and it's just really beautiful and it's really well done. We didn't get code until very late, so I can't tell you how the final version stacked out. Definitely will by next week.
But it's a game where you feed little tiny cowboys to dinosaurs, right?
Yeah,
So that's a good idea.
it's
for a
really
game.
it's really cool. It's sort of SimCity-esque,
Yeah.
where you pick up dinosaurs and cowboys, and you have to make this sort of civilization between all of them. And so you can put think about like sort of like Jurassic Park Builder, but mixed with cowboy stuff.
So creationism.
Yeah, with cowboy stuff.
Oh, right. So I get yelled at for saying religious basketball a bunch.
Hey, he didn't cross it with sports, you sick mother. So no, check this one out. It's really cool. And I really can't wait to get through the full game because I think Wayward Sky probably took me about 3 to 4 hours to like really 100%, and that's what I kind of loved about it. I think that's the kind of sweet spot for PSVR stuff. So yeah, give this one a look. And there's a couple more. Was it Tiny Tracks and another game I'm checking out on PSVR now that I'll have a better report on next week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ben Leiss in our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/group/podcastbeyond. Go make friends in there if you haven't already. Said, yeah, it is. Want to fight? Do it. We can do it in the group. We can go down there with 2 sharp sticks and just beat the crap out of each other.
Try out.
All right. Any of the Beyond crew looking forward to Hellblade? Hellblade is, of course, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, which is out in 1 week.
Yep.
This is from Ninja Theory, the guys who did Heavenly Sword and Enslaved and the Devil May Cry that everyone got mad at because they gave him the weird haircut.
That game.
And we've been hearing about this for ages.
I forgot it was coming out next week until a friend literally texted me this morning. I was like, "Hey, are you going to play Hellblade?" I was like,
Right?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, where did
Yeah.
this like, okay.
So tell me about this game.
This was another game I played at the Judges Week, which is a pre-3 event, like 2 or 3 years ago. The same event that I played Fortnite at, and it's a. So think of Heavenly Sword. It's a third-person action game, except the way it's presented, at least it was back then, is it's like over-the-shoulder, camera-locked, like Resident Evil 4, but it is a third-person action game.
Oh, interesting.
So it's melee based, but you play this,
That's mostly how I play Resident Evil 4, by the way. I shoot the knee and then
you go up and give them roundhouse kicks and
yeah, do
DDTs.
those cool suplexes,
Diamond
a bunch of
Dallas
Stone
Page
Cold Steve
cutters.
Austin moves.
But you play this woman and you're in this sort of like weird mythological forest world that's it seems like purgatory between heaven and hell, and you're encountering all these weird forest gods and goddesses, and like the story seemed cool, but watching the gameplay play out, I was like, I don't know if the combat's gonna be any good, which is weird because the 3 games you mentioned before, Heavenly Sword, Enslaved, and DMC, all rely on really good combat.
So what's really interesting about this, it's a hack and slash ish type thing. It is also very much about mental illness, and they've been very front and center about that leading into this, about how like apparently some of the demons you're fighting are in this character's head. I think it's Senua.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like loosely, just ambiguously mythological. I think it's sort of Norse, sort of Celtic, sort of something else. But yeah, I was watching a gameplay clip we have up on IGN, and it looks a little obtuse. Like I'm very curious about it. These guys have been pitching it as like a AAA indie. This is their baby. This isn't like there's no Capcom, there's no anyone else attached to this. And I'm wondering. There's a part where she's walking around, and to unlock this gate, there are these 2 runes on the gate, and you have to find those runes hidden naturally in the level itself. So it's sort of like this weird like, kind of treasure hunt where you're supposed to and at one point like you find this thing that looks like a weird kind of Iron Maiden R, and it's like spelled out with rocks on the ground, but you have to go up on a roof to find it. And it doesn't look like the most kind of enthralling way of solving a puzzle in a game. Like I like weird funny shaped puzzles, but then they're like, well, then you get through this and there's like sort of a cutscene and then there's a fight which looks okay, but I could see this game going completely either way.
Yeah.
Like either it is a complete letdown or a total like surprise sleeper hit that everyone falls in love with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
just
their
weird
track
that-
record, I haven't played Enslaved, sadly, but
that's good.
it's the one I really need to get back to. But I love DMC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wasn't like a Devil May Cry person, but I just thought the combat was great in that game.
Sure,
I had a
yeah.
blast with it.
They make good games.
I thought the combat in Heavenly Sword was good too. It was, the camera was this thing that it was just like this weird. It felt like a camera on a slider.
Yeah.
where it was kind of locked to walls.
Yeah, and it was trying to be too cinematic at a certain
Yes.
point. Yeah, which
Yeah.
they got like Andy Serkis to do mocap in that game and everything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There was there's a level in DMC that I thought was one of the most just visually inspired things I've ever seen, which is where you're basically on like CNN motion
Yes.
graphics.
Oh, yeah.
That level
And you're like inside Fox News, but you're like fighting a bunch of demons and you're
Yeah.
jumping around on like infographics and like lower thirds.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bring that back. I want more of that.
That was
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just weird that game is like sneaking up on us. A lot of people were asking like, what do you guys think of it? Like and it's like we don't really.
There haven't been. This doesn't seem
Yeah.
like. Whereas I feel like games like Fortnite. There's certain games that have a long development cycle that we play very often.
Yeah.
At preview events or it's at every PAX or something, and so you're like, oh, okay, I've played this a ton. We have most of us have not played this, and I haven't played this in a long time. So like, I want to totally try this out.
This is
is
one of-
unusual.
This is one of those games where I think they like revealed concept art before they had anything to show off properly.
Yeah.
And then they did like a developer diary that had like gameplay nestled within people talking, and it's just like. I mean, maybe this is what you get when it's like without the help of like a AAA publisher pushing it. Like you don't have the marketing arm of it. I don't
even the
know.
titles, like everyone assumed initially that this was a tied to Heavenly Sword because it's Hellblade.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you assume that it's in the same universe, and like, no, it's not. It's just another
Yeah.
afterlife weapon. You're like, okay.
So they've got a little logo thing in there, like a little kind of rune, which they've had on attached to this game for a while now, but only recently did people start being. That looks like a fidget spinner, because it does. It's
Oh
this-
man, that
yeah.
sucks.
No.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've seen people with like tattoos of this thing, which is like 3 intertwining
Oh, no.
spirals.
Fidget spinner tattoos? That
Well, now
defeats
they
the
look like
purpose.
fidget spinner tattoos, but yeah, you just got to do it on your neck.
spin your
Yeah,
head.
spin your own neck.
Sounds fun.
Here's some good news: Persona 5 is getting an anime.
Thank
it is
God.
called
Crashing through a wall.
yeah, it is called Persona 5 the animation. It is coming out in 2018 in Japan. No word on localization. Yeah, there was a prologue thing. There's Persona 5 the animation, The Daybreakers, double colons.
Yeah.
Which was a prologue that came out. That's on Crunchyroll. So if
Yeah.
you want to go see that, Marty, have you watched that?
I haven't, which I need to, especially now
Persona
that,
fan.
yeah, I'm a fake Persona boy.
Yeah.
I am all in for Persona 5 the anime, and then every Persona 5 spin-off imaginable, like Persona 3 and 4 got.
Yep.
Like, I always made fun of Andrew for playing, like, I'm like, you're gonna play this game where they just dance? You're gonna play this dancing game?
And then you put 100 hours in.
and now I'm like, I want these men to dance for me.
Yeah.
I want to play this game where the men
Yep,
dance.
yep.
Yeah, I'd play like a snoozing simulator. I'd do anything.
Yeah, I found myself kind of like wanting to jump into a backlog game. I'm still like grinding through Yakuza, which is I want it to just end at this point. I really love that game, but it's just also like there's such long ass cutscenes, and I'm like I could jump back into Persona. I just kind of don't want to play a grindy game right now, you know? Like,
Yeah.
And I like the characters in Persona, and I like that there's a story, but I'm sort of impatient in this weird way. But I'm also like, oh, if they made like a Persona like OVA, like I could be down to watch that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, summer's a weird time for games because you want something that can just sort of like. I want something that's sort of all encompassing. Like I wish like a game like Horizon came out right.
Yeah.
Because that's perfect. And I think about on PlayStation, I haven't played a game like Horizon since Horizon. I don't mean like exactly like Horizon, but something that's like a 50-hour, really sort of meaty third-person action game.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna get a ton this fall.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be all over Shadow of War and a
Yeah.
bunch of others.
Oh, dude, it's got Shelob in it.
Yeah, the spider.
The spider.
Oh, wow.
The big spider.
Man, for a dude who really liked Shadow of Mordor, you don't know anything about Lord of the Rings.
I was
No.
like kind of iffy about that.
That's why I
about
like Shadow of Mordor.
the sequel, and then they're like, I just saw it's like Shelob trailer, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna play the crap out of
I know
this.
that's a weird nickname for Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, Shelob LaBeouf.
That's not the character voiced by Kumail
Shia
Nanjiani.
LaBeouf.
No, isn't Shelob in the game a woman? Wasn't that like a big thing?
I'm
Maybe the big-
It
resent
doesn't
bringing
talk.
this
It
up.
really just goes and like it makes that.
Not
oh,
sure
I
what
think there was like a
anyway.
whole thing about it.
They actually
human
they
form.
mocapped a real spider.
and they were like, this
Mocap
woman
Shia LaBeouf.
only has 2 legs. We needed a woman with 8 legs.
Yeah.
A huge, terrifying, big phallic stinger.
So they got
Really selling
they got,
me on the spider guy. That's
So they
Ghost
got
Spider.
David Arquette from the hit film Eight-Legged Freaks.
You think so? You think
Yeah.
they got him?
Yeah.
yeah.
How fast do you think he picked up his phone? Quarter of a ring.
He picked it up so quick that it fumbled out of his hands into the toilet. Oh no, I lost it.
Scream 5, is that happening?
Anyway, Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive
Yes.
Age. Is this just regular Dragon Quest XI?
Yes,
or
it's just what it's called in America. I
Okay.
just want to make a note while we were talking about weird Japanese things coming here next year. Yeah, Dragon Quest XI, which just came out in Japan.
this is like the new, really gorgeous PS4 one.
Yes, this is the one that just came out like 2 or 3 days ago in Japan. They announced that it's getting fully localized and coming to the West next year. I think it's great because
this game looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's Toriyama's art style. I've always like wanted to love the Dragon Quest games because they look like fantasy Dragon Ball basically. But I don't know. They're either I just don't get into them. Don't get hooked on them. And this one looks like it's kind of open worldy and like actually I don't know if it's action RPG or is
well,
it?
yeah, I think it is a little bit more actiony than the other ones, and especially I mean because 10 was an MMO, and so
Right.
this is going back to single player, but I think it's pulling in some of the MMO stuff. Yeah, but next year between this and Dragon Ball FighterZ is the year that Toriyama's coming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I've just been watching like cutscenes of this online. It looks fantastic. So, yeah, it lets me hang out with those slimes real good.
The Slims?
Slime time. Yeah.
Ooh, is that what you call it? Don't call
Yeah,
it
so
that.
anyway, now it's time for Rapid Fire. We hopped over to our Facebook group, which is groups.com/net/GeoCities. Not
Definitely
really.
not, but-
It's facebook.com/group/podcast beyond. Anyway,
Angel Fire is my favorite Vegas magician.
that's actually that's an upcoming Ninja Theory game. It's going to be very good. Tommy Ratliff says, what jump in technology would you guys like to see in future consoles besides graphics? This is a great question.
Man,
I can just
Go ahead.
I was going to say, like, one of the things I completely forgot about with the luxuries of this generation is rest mode and how much of a wonderful, like, just like ease of use thing that is.
Yeah.
I would
It's
love
great.
just that kind of stuff, even more streamlined.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just want a really snappy UI. I feel like PlayStation. I mean, when you compare it to PlayStation 3 and Vita, the PS4 is crushing it, but it's still like just a laggy mess of a system sometimes. Like you go to click download game, and there's that please wait thing that pops up that you've all seen for hundreds of hours. No one can explain why. Like sometimes it's 5 seconds, sometimes it's 5 minutes. Then you back out. Like I went to the little TV button to click down to like Netflix and Hulu and stuff the other day, and it just like hung for 8 seconds. It's a stupid thing to complain about, but like, I mean, it's kind of why like I play a lot of Nintendo Switch too, and obviously there's nothing on that system. So it's incredibly bare bones, but very snappy. But just moving around the UI there is clean, and it'll be filled with bloat in 3 years.
Sure.
But right now, like I just want something like that. I want the store to not be like a vertical column of letters every time I search.
That you have
for something.
to type and you have to start at A and go
Yeah,
to the
like
next one.
some weird upside down abacus.
Can we just get a section that's just the drop that just shows you all
Yeah.
of the games,
Yeah.
all the new games that just came out this week's games, not
Sort
like
them by the new. Just have a button for this
Yeah.
week's new games, and not like games, more games. Sort by newest
and
games.
like 8 of them are pre-orders. One of them's for a movie that's in theaters right now.
Well, I don't know about you, but I love searching by letter by letter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
name of
yeah.
a game.
It's yeah.
That's the kind of stuff when we were like, all right, well, this generation is not going to be the sort of like seismic leap that we thought it would be. They're going to make up for it with everything else, and in many ways they did. But like the system is still a very slow, laggy mess
Yeah.
when it comes to a lot of very fundamental things. Like
To be able to change our PSN names.
Oh, that's a.
I gave up on that one.
They're
No,
gonna,
I mean-
they're gonna need a whole new processor for that. There's gonna be no backwards
Yeah.
compatibility.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real rough. They're going back to the cell processor.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Oh,
they
perfect.
goofed. They were like,
Yeah.
no,
That was actually perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guessed up.
At this point, you're dying at age 90 with Bungle Dung 69 right next to your
be
PlayStation.
Sora 2792 for the rest of
Really?
my life. Yep. Yep.
All right.
You sore about it? Yeah.
I played. I was in New York over the weekend on my flight to and from. All I did was play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
and I'm almost done with it. I beat the 4th Divine Beast. I got the Master Sword, and I did Eventide Island. But that whole time, I'm like, man, I'm gonna finish Zelda. But I wish I could play Nier on this plane. I
Yes.
wish I could play Pyre on this plane. I
Yep.
wish I could play Yakuza on this plane. Like, I really do. I don't want everything to become the Switch. I still think I'm primarily going to play my games at home. But that being said, it would be so nice to be able to just play these games lag-free, hassle-free on a
Whenever.
gorgeous screen.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that,
flight.
so the cool thing about the video game industry, and this is reductive, is that everyone steals from each other and that no idea is original.
Sure.
And that when something gets big enough, everyone is sort of forced to do it, even just momentarily. Like you look at motion controls, which ultimately didn't really pan out. We're not really using them for anything outside of VR these days. But Sony saw what was going on with the Wii and they jumped on it, right? They made Move controllers, and then Xbox made Kinect and all this other stuff. I have a feeling like that's why I'm excited about the Switch on behalf of Sony, is that if it gets so big that you absolutely cannot ignore it, Sony is going to come out with a version of it that's 5 times more powerful. Like that's what they do. They make the most powerful handhelds on earth, and they'll make the portable PS4 that you can bring anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's really exciting. Like I don't know if
It's-
it'll happen.
Yeah, it's
But-
also not. It's not insane to think about it because we did have. There was the original PlayStation, and then there was like the little tiny baby one
Yeah.
that had like a snap-on thing. And this was at a time where like rechargeable batteries were not standard. There was
Yeah.
no such thing as USB, or if there was, it sucked. And like now we're at a point where everything is rechargeable by familiar cords and plugs,
Yeah.
and LED screens are cheaper than ever. And there are things that are possible now that are like, I mean, the Vita could have been that if they tried a few things differently. But
Yeah, and I think because the Vita was in like a completely different piece of tech than the PS4, you had a massive disconnect with the games that were being developed for it, and that most people ended up just playing like 2D JRPGs and like, like kind of like whimsical indie games, and the AAA Call of Duties didn't work out because
Yeah.
they had to make something from the ground up. The Killzones felt like they were great, and the God of Wars and stuff like that, but they were like smaller versions of their bigger
was a half
brothers.
step.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think not even bridging that gap, getting rid of that gap entirely, and just making one system that works everywhere. And I think with like cloud saves and crossplay and all that kind of stuff, I think Sony's like they're poised to do it better than Nintendo can, because Nintendo right now, like if I lost my Switch, my Zelda file is gone. whereas on Sony I could just download it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, let's imagine that we've already got the the PlayStation 4 Pro, we've got the regular one, and there's the Slim. Like, what if towards the end of the console's life cycle, we get something that's, I don't know, the size of a VHS tape that has a screen you can buy separately that snaps on, that has a battery pack that can run for 3 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all solid state, so there's not like a bunch of fans and stuff spinning or whatever.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing too.
so
Like I
cool.
realized is I don't really need more than 3 hour battery life, and if I do, I just bring an external battery
Yeah.
and a cable.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in a situation where I fly cross country, which I do like every 3 weeks at this point, like I just bring a battery with me.
Also, most flights I've been on, like my flight yesterday had a power outlet.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's good
you
to
know,
go.
yeah, I mean, I don't really want a Vita 2 in that sense. I want just
Yeah.
I want a PlayStation 4 Pocket. you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that would be
There you go.
really
Nailed it.
cool.
PS4P.
There you go.
Yeah. As for what we want with future consoles, aside from portability, I just think like getting rid of loading times, like whatever
Yeah.
that means. If they're hidden, I mean, we've gotten so close with that where now it's like you play Horizon or Uncharted or GTA or whatever, and it's like it loads the overworld, and then the rest is kind of happening in the background.
I think what you said is really important. If they're hidden,
Yeah.
and I think that should be sort of a industry standard. Is that loading times will always be there in some way, but just don't say loading with a big bar. Like, give me something to play or something to look at. Like there was a while there where I think it was it Namco that like
They own the copy-
copyrighted
they-
the right for like a loading screen mini game.
And then they didn't use it for anything good.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, it's a Dragon Ball. Where you're loading this fight scene and you just fly around on a cloud and collect
Yep.
Dragon Balls. And you're like, there's only 7, right? And they're like, no, let's keep getting them all. Gotta get them all. Carlos E. Moro says, did any of you guys get a PlayStation TV, either the television unit or the console?
Yes.
I got one that were crazy cheap.
How did that work out for you guys?
I got it because I was like, someday I'm going to own a second television, and I don't.
Well, so that's the little box that plugs in. Yeah. So my issue with that was I got one for dirt cheap in one of those like Newegg deals or something where they're like $17, and it uses Vita memory cards, which are $1,000, and so it didn't happen.
Right.
It's also like, I think it's the kind of, you would have to have like a very like in my apartment the Wi-Fi signal strength wasn't great enough to send a signal from my PS4 to the TV in the other room and sort of like Chromecast through that. I think I got it working with with like Sound Shapes,
Sure.
which is like a rudimentary, simple 2D platforming game. But for something like Uncharted, like no way. Whereas like Andrew Goldfarb said, like he loves his because he was able to he got a Vita memory card for cheap, and then he somehow
That sounds like a lie.
So
deal
only
with the devil.
$400.
$400
Yeah.
or
Uncle
20,
works at
20
Sony.
gig.
Yeah.
And he was able to like basically stream a bunch of Vita games onto his TV through his bedroom
Yeah.
from the other room, which is like kind of awesome with a PlayStation controller. Again, I think it was one of those things. It was a half step. It was so close, didn't really work out. If you can get one for cheap and you can get a memory card for cheap, and you have like a bunch of routers in your apartment. You're in that weird edge case, like give it a go, because I think you can find them for like I got mine for like $16 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Same here. I was
Yeah.
gonna say like I have it hooked up downstairs, and I'm like, I want to play all my favorite Vita games that I don't already play on my Vita.
Yeah.
and that I can fit onto this like onboard memory of
Which is, like,
512 megs or something.
Yeah, I don't even think it was that much, was it?
It's-
Yeah,
I don't know. It's something like that.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
But I haven't even tried the remote play stuff. I might try that out. But
I
then
think I went to download Uncharted on it. It was like, nope, can't do that. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's like one of the 5 games you think of.
Yeah.
all right. So Will Fournier says, will Days Gone be more successful than The Last of Us?
Probably not.
No. The Last of Us is it's its own thing. It was like that was. I mean, it's gonna be constantly compared to that. I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like more technically ambitious. I think there's gonna be a lot more like. I mean, it's an open world game for starters.
The Last of Us is one of the most special games to sell millions of copies because people identify that game with emotion, which I don't think you really get from a lot of like AAA blockbuster, big
exactly.
video
Sure.
game
Oh
stuff.
well, you look at the best-selling games. It's Call of Duty and Madden and
Yeah.
GTA and Minecraft and
Yeah,
like,
which you're never really like. That made me feel something. I
Yeah.
mean, the music in Minecraft makes me sad, which is a feeling.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's something about The Last of Us that like you think that there's emotional resonance with that game that I've yet to get from Days Gone. I think that's gonna be a
Yeah.
really fun video game. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in that game, but at best, like you have this connection between the main character and his daughter, and then you hope
his motorcycle.
his motorcycle.
Daughter passes away. and
A lot
becomes
of motorcycle guys call their motorcycle their
It's
daughter.
actually a lococycle, people.
It's a
I see it selling well though.
Yeah, I mean, I want it to be good, and I hope it's good. It's just I remember the first demo that I saw for Last of Us when it was on stage at their
Yep.
E3 press conferences. Whoever, I forget who was standing on stage, but they were playing, and it was Joel going through that sort of like the office apartment
Yeah.
building, and he's like taking out guys and having to deal with all that, and it is super intense, and you feel in that moment with that guy, and then he drops the controller and like walks off stage.
Yeah.
Like I still remember that demo vividly, whereas I remember the Days Gone demo of being like, oh, they opened and closed the show with that game for some reason.
Yeah, yeah.
And there were a lot of bodies on screen. And that's
Yeah.
what I remember.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
want it to be cool, and everything I've seen, I'm interested, but it didn't hit me in the way that
I mean, that's the thing is
Last of Us
comparing
did.
to The Last of
Yeah.
Us isn't a knock against Days Gone. It's a praise a praise for The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I kind of wish that it was leaning more into the badass side of things as opposed to like the emotionally wrought, like angsty things. You know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be. Put it this way, Days Gone is gonna be more Walking Dead and less The Road. Like it's gonna be.
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally.
There's gonna be emotions and stuff there, but it's gonna be also like you're gonna set Far Cry booby traps and set the zombies out, and they're gonna eat the guy. You know, so
Yeah, I wonder where this game would sit in a world where there wasn't The Last of Us 2 announced.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
I think it would have a much more sort of clearly defined role in the universe of video games, whereas right now it feels like kind of a holdover until The Last of Us
Yeah.
2. But again, they're both doing different things, and I'm excited to play both.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
The Last of Us 2 is coming out for quite a bit.
Yeah.
Brennan Muniz says, at this point in time, would you recommend a PSVR? Not really. Like, it sucks to say it, but like, it's really unclear what is happening with that.
Well, what did we spend like all last fall and Christmas saying, right? We kept saying like check back in by summer of next year.
Yeah.
Like maybe if it has this like big robust library and third parties are all over it and it's not there.
We are.
It's
I mean,
just
we
not.
are getting like a Final Fantasy fishing game. We're getting Skyrim. We're getting some other weird little. We did get a showing for it at E3, which is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it also, again, we've got this weird problem of finding move controllers. People are having no problem finding the physical units. People were texting pictures of it at like Walmart and Target to us.
Finally.
Which is good. It's that it's out there and you can buy it. You still have to find the camera and the move controllers. Sort of a weird like fetch quest, you know.
Yeah,
Like
and
one
then-
one
and-
item for your potion is too hard to track down.
And then once you're there, like I mean, I still think that they haven't really done the best job of communicating. These are the big games this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to sort of relegate yourself to digging around and really falling in love with cool, quirky little indie games.
I mean,
And
Dino Frontier is coming out this week, and you told me that.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
the PlayStation blog said that. I didn't
Yeah.
find that out through anything else. You know, there's no little ping on my dashboard being like, hey, there's new VR games out. You can go check them out right here. It's like, hey, PlayStation Now. I'm like, hey, delete.
Yeah. That said, I think
Don't want that there.
I think there's a lot of really awesome experiences on it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you can get one, I don't know, refurbished or on the cheap or off Craigslist without getting stabbed, I think you should get one. Like, but what I can't say right now with any sort of like confidence is what this system's going to look like in 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like when you buy into a PS4, you're buying into a system that is going to last you for 5-10 years.
Yeah.
maybe. When you buy into a PSVR, like we had a bunch of really cool stuff at the end of the year last year. We had Resident Evil 7 at the start of this
Yeah.
year, which is like, you know, one of the coolest things ever done in VR. But from here on out, like you're looking at cool stuff like, you know, Moss, you know, which is like
Yeah.
an adorable game about a mouse. But
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah.
play it. Max is going to play
I'm
it.
very excited to play that game.
I don't know if that's really what you're looking for, though, right? Like, we don't know right now. There's a new Battlefront coming out. We don't know if there's like a VR component. We haven't heard anything about that. You know, there's a couple of
Yeah.
little like mini game things, like the Final Fantasy thing.
Yeah,
but,
dude, like it feels like a very specialized piece of kitchen equipment. Like it's a fancy appliance versus a necessary appliance. Like
Yeah.
a PS4 is a microwave. It is a thing that will cook anything you throw at it, and occasionally you're like, don't put that in there, it'll explode
And
or
so,
it'll
like,
go bad. But the VR is like a juicer or something, or like a
It's so
spiralizer.
it's like a
It's like,
juicer. It's like, well, do you drink a lot of juice?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
how
so,
much
like,
juice- yeah.
not to keep like evoking the Nintendo Switch because it's a PlayStation show, but it is a recently, wildly successfully announced and launched console of video game hardware in the wild. And I think there's things to learn from it. And I think the way third parties have a wait and see approach with Nintendo stuff, and justifiably always have because their stuff doesn't sell well there. There is that period of like, we have to see if this is fundamentally worth it for our business And Nintendo came out and supported it super strong at the start. They said, we have this, 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 and this. And they all became million sellers. And even stuff that you could port over is doing well. And then you start getting stuff like Skyrim, and you get all these other third-party announcements slowly trickling out. We got a thing from Capcom the other day being like, this Street Fighter, Ultra Street Fighter sold 500,000 units. And it's like a port, basically.
So now they're like,
Yeah.
they're gonna put
So now they're pushing everything on there. And I think that we missed that chance with PSVR. I really think that Sony had to really push hard in that first 6 months to a year, and it didn't really happen the way it was supposed to. So the wait and see approach has now waited, and now we're seeing that it's not panning out the way people thought it would. And part of that was the supply constraints. Part of that was there wasn't really just a lot of AAA software at the jump.
Well, and part of it is also just VR's place in
Yeah.
gaming right now.
Yeah.
It is still very nascent, and
Yeah.
we don't know what the future looks like. And a lot of VR companies have talked about how they're like, they knew this was not going to be a 0 to 100 success
Totally.
sort of thing. But it's how long do we have to wait for it to be more ubiquitous? Do we have to wait till this fall? Do we have to wait for 3 falls from now? Like,
Yeah.
what is that time?
And
I don't
PSVR
own
sold
one.
well, right?
Yeah, but I still don't own one, and like I will look at it again. It's pretty much like every fall I'll look at it. Like
Yeah.
when sales start to come up around Black Friday, I'll take a look, and it's like there are a ton of experiences I'd love to play on there, but nothing was like I need to own this extra $300
Yeah.
worth of
Yeah.
equipment.
Well, we saw that thing around Amazon Prime Day, right? Where
Yeah.
Oculus dropped to like $300
yeah,
with,
and you
with
got the
controllers
touch
and everything.
controllers, yeah.
Which is a tremendous deal, and that I think reignited a lot of excitement around that platform, and we haven't seen anything like that with PSVR. And so I don't think PSVR is going to be PlayStation's Virtual Boy, but I don't even know if it'll be their Vita at this point.
Yeah.
So it's in a really interesting spot.
It'd be really cool if they made it so that it was compatible with PC. Like if they were just like, hey, yeah,
Yep.
it goes both ways. You
Yeah.
plug it in there and do weird homebrew stuff.
Yeah, I think it really needs to find its voice. It needs to find what it needs to be.
Yeah. Jim Sahota writes, "What's the last concert you went to? Will any of you be at the Kendrick Lamar concert at Oracle or in San Jose?"
I wish I didn't know he was performing there.
He's performing just for Jim.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a one-on-one. He's like, "Are you guys going to my private Kendrick Lamar concert?"
He's gonna pop
Damn.
out of a birthday cake.
lucky him.
Marty, what's the last show you went to?
I don't know.
You saw
right.
IU?
I saw
I love that
IU.
group.
My favorite finish.
It's relatively recent. I can't remember.
All right. Dornbush?
I haven't been to a concert since I've lived out here.
Same.
In New York, I think the last bands I saw were the Gaslight Anthem and the Kills.
Oh.
Yeah,
Very
I stopped going to concerts when I got to a certain age, and B, I moved to California. I didn't grow up with I went to hip hop
Yeah.
shows like 2 or 3 nights a week in New York
Yeah.
City, and I moved out here, and it was just like, hey, you guys want to see E40's cousin? I was like, not really.
Yeah.
So I just went to bed.
Yeah, I went to a winery and saw Andrew Bird, who's like a folk violinist, and it was nice, but it was at a winery, and I'm like, I feel old. It was also like being on Big Little Lies. There's just a bunch of like weird like Monterey moms getting wine drunk and like touching somebody's leg. It's just-
I guess I didn't think of it because I was thinking like a performer musician, but I did at E3. I did go to the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is that. Where
Oh yeah, we went to the Zelda
That's right.
Symphony.
dozens of amazing
Yeah,
musicians.
we got
played
mom drunk
beautiful-
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got very mom drunk at the
Yeah.
Zelda Symphony. Yeah, I threw up on a princess. I did not throw up on a princess.
I go to more comedy shows these days. I mean,
Same.
in terms of like,
Yeah.
because you can sit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just put that in there obviously because I was curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is our show for you this week. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us and hanging out and having a good time. You can find us all on Twitter. I'm Max Scoville. Brian, you are Agent Bizzle. You
right.
are JM Dornbush. And you are McBiggity with 2 G's and 2 T's. Of course, subscribe to us on YouTube, which is youtube.com/IGN Beyond. And that Facebook group, one more time, is facebook.com/group/podcast beyond. Anything else we want to touch on real quick?
No, that was great. You
No,
did a
we
great
did
outro
it.
there.
Is that it? We're
Yeah.
done? That's it? Cool. Check out my mummy pen. It's a pen that looks like a mummy.
Slam dunk basketball.
Yes. From
Reli-
downtown.
Religion. What are you supposed to do at the end of the show?
I think we can go home.
Beyond.
You just stop beyond.
If you write anything on your computer, you need to get Grammarly.
I write pretty much all day, This video is an extract from our weekly podcast, which is available right now on our Patreon page at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. Or you can wait till next Wednesday when it goes live to everyone and watch it then. Cheers. Battlegrounds, guys. We've played a lot of Battlegrounds, don't we?
Yeah, we love Battlegrounds as well. We cover it quite a lot on the channel, so it's only fair that we update the viewers periodically when things happen. So this is in light of that.
Things have happened. There's been a certain degree of negativity in general around PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds for the last couple of weeks. There's nothing like major, but there's just been a bit of turbulence as far as headlines go. I think that you know they've been having a smooth ride for a long time because it's been very popular. A lot of good word of mouth on the internet and stuff. You know, it's just experiencing its first batch of troubles. I think headlines wise. First of all, let's get into the latest one. I guess is the microtransactions. So recently, last week, they kind of unloaded microtransactions onto us in early access. So the game's still in early access, but you can buy cosmetics, you can buy items of clothing. Essentially, you can buy keys that open crates, and in those crates there might be an item of clothing that you wouldn't be able to get otherwise without spending a bit of money. That obviously upset a lot of people, didn't it? It caused a bit of a stir. Although some people did seem to think it was fine, but it was the fact that it was in early access that was the crux of the issue, and the fact that they had promised they wouldn't have microtransactions in early access. That's what happened, and now Brendan Green has kind of come out to explain himself, I guess. He's written a long statement on Steam. While our intention was and still is to add the full feature to the game, that is microtransactions, when we move into full release, we do need to test it prior to launch and that early access so that it is stable and ready to be fully introduced to our community. This is an economy that would and should benefit all players, both who are willing to pay and who are not willing to pay for vanity items. First of all, what do you guys think of his response to this? Do you think he's addressed the issue properly here? It's a long statement, but has he actually hit the nail on the head with his defense for it?
I think what he's addressing here is the outcry from the players that we were promised no microtransactions in early access, and that's what he's addressed there. He's not addressing the fact that microtransactions are there to begin with. That's mainly where our criticisms are from. He addresses the fact that basically that they lied.
So that's a good question though. What are people really upset about here? Is it the fact that there's an FAQ that says there won't be microtransactions until the game's fully released, but they've kind of done it anyway? Is that the crux of it? Do you think the broken promise, or the fact that microtransactions exist in the first place?
I think it's a trust. They're explicitly saying we're not going to do microtransactions until we're out of early access, and then when the game's at the peak of its popularity right now, and he says, "Oh yeah, we're doing some microtransactions," I think that just soured a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's probably the issue, the going back on your word thing. So what the microtransactions actually are, they're rolling out in this month's update. They include different items of clothing inspired by the movie Battle Royale, which is what the game is heavily inspired by itself. There's 3 crates. 2 of them are free to open, but one of them, the Gamescom Invitational crate, requires a key to open, and that key costs $2.50. So each crate only contains 1 item, so if you want the full kit, it costs you $10, and you're just going to end up feeling ripped off because you spent $10 on cosmetics. Bear in mind, you've already bought the game. It's not a free-to-play game. You spent 26 quid to play this. I don't know about his statement myself. I don't know if he doesn't understand what people are upset about, or he's not willing to engage in the conversation. Maybe he doesn't want to acknowledge the fact that they said one thing and they're doing another. Do you think his point about the fact they want to test it first before putting it in the full game, do you think there's any validity to that?
I think so. I think the thrust of the post, which is, by the way, is part of his monthly update. So this is the 4th monthly update since it was released 5 months ago, I guess. So, and before it goes into detail in the patch notes, he's addressing this criticism. So he didn't have to do this. He's just addressing this off his own back. It's not usual that anyone would do this, but he feels the need to address the community and trying to iron things out. But the main thrust of what he's saying is that the system needs to be tested before the full release, and I can see that, because if you are implementing a system where you're taking money off people, you don't want it to be up when it releases. That's the way that he does things. He wants to test everything before it goes into full release. So it kind of carries through with all the other things that he's been doing.
Like vaulting, for example. We're going to have to wait another month for vaulting to make sure that it works properly. I think the fact that it's in early access, is shaky ground for sure, but the argument that he puts forward, you can't completely dismiss it. I think that what he's saying does actually hold a little bit of water to us.
I agree. A lot of people might criticise them for what they're doing, how they're going about it, but if you're taking money off people, you've got to make sure that your system in place is legit and it stands up, because the worst thing in the world is taking money off people for a system that's broken.
I hate microtransactions, and the crime is already committed in my eyes by having them in the game in the first place. It doesn't make that much difference to me that they're putting a small amount of microtransactions in there right now to test. I guess that's where it's coming from. It's a complicated issue, isn't it, I suppose? So what's the other one? What's the other big thing that's happened this week? Stream sniping. So what is stream sniping, guys? Can you explain what that is?
Stream sniping, it's when a player follows their favourite streamer, then they try and get in the same lobby as them, keep joining, leaving, until they match up in the same lobby. Then they watch that player's stream in the hopes that they can determine their location, just kill them.
Nail them.
Basically, using an unfair advantage to try and kill them. Now, this whole thing is kicked up between, there's a couple of streamers called Summit and Shroud, okay, and they stream as duos a lot of the time. These are huge streamers, by the way. You're talking 2.1 million followers for Summit, and Shroud has just shy of 1 million followers. So you can imagine the popularity and the amount of people that do follow and watch their streams. You might play and watch at the same time. So I'll talk you through what happened. There was this one occasion where they're both playing together, and they take incoming fire. Summit gets downed. So the guy who downed him says, "Hey, what's up, Summit?" There's acknowledgement there that he knows who the streamer is.
Okay, yeah.
And then he goes on to say, "I love your streams." So there's another damning indication that he may well be watching the stream at the time.
Yeah.
It is important to note there were two guys in this squad called Kinky Melon and Your Sin. Okay, so these two guys were the guys attacking the streamers at the time in the game. Summit dies, and Shroud gets away, but he then gets killed by somebody else called Loto. Okay, and then what happens here is Loto goes on to be banned for stream sniping.
Yeah.
Now this is where some of the confusion comes from, because Loto wasn't the guy who acknowledged that he was a fan and watches the streams. Like, how do you prove that somebody's watching the stream?
It's really split the community, hasn't it? They really can't decide.
A lot of people are saying, how do you prove that people are watching your streams?
Yeah. So this is a key thing for me. He was banned within 20 minutes. So as you said, guys, there's no way to prove that he watches stream. He just shoots a guy, then gets banned. I mean, having to wait 20 minutes, and is that enough time for them to investigate what happened, review the evidence, and then go, yeah, we should ban this guy temporarily? He's just another player.
Yeah.
So let's just ban him. That's the kind of attitude that comes across.
You got caught up in the whole mess.
But a lot of people say these streamers are entitled little bitches. I mean, I watch these streamers. I enjoy watching the streams. I think they're really good at what they do. When they're in this privileged position, apparently, this is what the community thinks, is that Player Unknown is like pandering to them, because they start screaming, "Oh, stream sniping." They didn't. They
really do scream it as well.
Yeah, they do.
Very emotional.
And at the time, like, it all happened so fast. They can't know that Loto wasn't part of the team who said, "We're watching your streams," or "We like your streams," or whatever. So when they start screaming, "Oh, I've been stream sniped," it happens within 20 minutes. You've got to question that, how that's happened in 20 minutes.
Yeah, you can see from the studio's point of view, difficult situation, because they could very easily get a lot of negativity to the two huge streamers if they turn against the studio, and there's a negative discussion about them online. So how do they clamp down on that? Well, they just do exactly what the streamer wants within 20 minutes. What's the cost? Well, one guy, one player. Who gives a shit about that one player? He gets banned for a week or something. As far as the player's concerned, I would be really upset about this. I would want to speak to websites and journalists and YouTubers about this and say, this is not fair. I was just playing a game and I got banned. It was unlucky.
This Lato who got banned, he made a post on the Player Unknown subreddit.
Yeah.
And I think he's like the second most upvoted post of all time.
Okay.
Just behind the microtransaction post.
So there is an element of the community, at least, that is wanting to hear what he's got to say and wanting to make sure that people see what he's got to say. It's an officially bannable thing, stream sniping. They're like, they've got a stance on it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas other companies, I think who is it? Is it Blizzard?
Blizzard's policy is literally just, well, that's your problem.
Yeah.
If you want to broadcast to the entire world without a delay, that's your problem. No one else's.
There are certain things that they can do. Obviously, they can delay the stream, but then that affects their ability to engage with their viewers on the stream, because it's that back and forth that they have on the stream that makes streaming so fun, where they can answer questions. All right, it's a 20-30 second delay, but they can do it, in reasonable time. If they delay their stream by 10 minutes or something, they don't get that interaction. The other thing that they can do is that they can obscure the mini-map on the right-hand side. That could help prevent it, and I know Summit doesn't do that. I think he should. A lot of streamers do.
Yeah, that is the best solution for me, because it doesn't make it impossible. It still could happen, but a lot of Battlegrounds, the map is quite like, you've seen one building, you've seen like 50 of them. There's a lot of uniformity to the map where it might be difficult to pinpoint where they are unless they're in some of the locations that are unique. There is a solution to this, absolutely. It's just a fascinating big issue about a game where there's a debate around it, communities are divided over it. It's quite fascinating the way things are going. This is the first time for the last couple of weeks they've had to just kind of be careful what they say, be careful the kind of statements they put out, and just kind of deal with things a little bit more carefully. I think this will be a bit of a learning curve for them the last couple of weeks.
It is important to point out, in fact, that he does apologise in his post on the Steam. He says, "Our messaging wasn't very clear, so I extend my sincere apologies for confusion caused. I've learned a lot and we'll try to communicate better moving forward.
Yeah.
Now that is quite telling, and that is important to include that because he's acknowledging there that he's learning. He's still in development himself as like how to deal with all this. He's not player unknown anymore. He's player well known. He's putting thought into it and he's trying to get better. So at least he's making the effort.
I agree. I mean, like you said, it's a learning curve, isn't it? That's what it's all about. Thank you very much for watching this podcast extract. Remember to like the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you want to see a new gaming video from us every single day. And remember to check us out on Patreon if you want the full podcast right now. See you next time.
All 3 of the harmful foods I'm going to show you right now are labeled and marketed as
Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode number 22. My name's Jake Lukowski, and joining me today, Mr. Gareth Evans.
Hello, everybody.
Mr. Liam McKelvey.
Hello.
So as if you can't tell already, we're changing the format up a little bit and we're going to do a 3-man podcast from now on. It gives everyone a week or so to recoup and things like that. So no Mike today.
Yeah, you got a week off from Mike. We're Mikeless.
We are a Mikeless team.
So
However, he has pitched a brand new feature, the Fact of the Week, and that'll be coming a little bit later on just before our Patreon questions.
So look out for that, guy. Look out for it. Fact of the Week. You should get excited already because we are excited.
Feature full of facts. So we're going to talk about a couple of things today, and it is literally a couple of topics. So we're going to be talking about stigma in the video game industry or in the mainstream media in the world towards the video game industry, and then we're going to be talking about Kingsway. And then we're going to be answering the questions, and it's going to be a fact of the week. So I'm just going to jump straight into the main topic because it is quite a hefty topic, but there's a lot to talk about. So
it's weird because we suggested it as a topic, and we were like, yeah, we could cover that. What we're going to talk about. Then we looked at it, and it's just so much that we're talking about. So it's a really interesting discussion, though. So yeah.
So
let's get into it.
I'll start the cold open, and then we'll warm to a discussion. So, video games in 2017, as you're probably aware, as if you're listening to this, there's a very, very, very high chance you play video games, as do we. And there's a current stigma that video games, it's a nerdy hobby. It's for children. It makes you violent. They're bad. They're a waste of time. A lot of things that you might have heard people say, maybe people in older generations.
Your parents.
Yeah, your parents.
The media, the newspapers saying that it causes you to kill people and shit and be violent.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a hobby where a lot of the time you kind of got to explain yourself to people. You don't have to explain to your mum and dad that you've gone out and played football or soccer or you've gone to see a movie. But with video games, a lot of the time people just go, why?
Well, they wasting your life.
Yeah, what's that all about? So where does it stem from? So let's take it head on. I think a lot of people, especially older people, get their information these days, and it has been for a while, the mainstream media, Fox News, newspapers. You got the BBC over here. The old school broadcasting.
It's weird, isn't it? Because whenever someone does something horrible, someone kills someone or someone's aggressive, and it lands in the newspapers, they're always looking for justification. They're always looking for that reason why they did what they did. They're looking for what happened in their brains, and if they can tag onto something like, oh, they saw it in a video game, that's a headline we can stick on there. I feel like it's just bad, cheap journalism, isn't it, in a way?
I mean, it's not even just video games. Before video games were out, they used to blame it on movies and music. In the 90s, they blamed rap music for violence.
Very true.
In the 70s and 80s, they blamed horror movies for violence.
Yeah,
it's just games are like the latest scapegoat, really.
Yeah, like you guys are saying, they're kind of pandering to what they think their audience want to know.
Yeah.
I think when you look at Grand Theft Auto, gets a lot of stigma for being a game that incites violent crime, but it's had 80 million downloads. So what are the chances out of 80 million people, one of them is a murdering bastard? There's a very high chance. I'm sure 80 million people listen to Justin Bieber, right? None of his music is violent. Yeah. But what are the chances that somebody who's got a Justin Bieber album on their iPod has murdered someone? Do you reckon that that's possible?
Well, it's very, very, very likely. I mean,
More likely than not.
the murder rate in the UK isn't that high, but maybe somewhere across the world, someone listens to Bieber playing GTA 5 and thinks, "I want to go kill somebody." I don't know, but it's a weak relation, isn't it? And there's no way that you can tie one to the other just because it's a coincidence that both things are happening. You play games and you decide you want to kill someone. There's no evidence as such, is there? Because otherwise there'd be more people playing games going out and murdering. Like it would be a more it'd be like the amount of gamers killing people would be higher, which there's no evidence for that. It's just sensationalist media.
Yeah, exactly.
Coverage.
The amount of crimes related to GTA as a percentage, 80 million people, the crimes that have been reported is less than 200. So it's not even 1%. So like I say, you can relate that to people that wear grey t-shirts. There's no correlation at all to that. People
grey t-shirts causes violence, confirmed. And
confirmed.
I'll point out that that Jake is wearing a grey t-shirt right now.
If Gareth isn't in next week's podcast, you know why, right? But so this is a big thing, and I think the only difference between maybe Justin Bieber or wearing a grey t-shirt and GTA is that in Grafter we can't ignore the fact you do murder people, but this is fictitious. And is it insulting to the general intelligence to assume that because you're killing somebody online by pressing square or triangle or maybe a mouse and keyboard, guys, you're going to want to go out and do that? Why do people think that that's how people are? Do you think that that's a little bit?
I don't know. It's because you actively have to do it. You have to press. It's like like watching a movie where you see a character kill another character. You actually participate in this. You press the button. You initiate the kill, the aggression, the whatever. There's a difference, and I think that people use that as a hook, as a justification for their argument, is where you're actually killing people in games. You must want to kill people in real life. That's not how it works. There's a total disconnect. It's not like that.
You know what? I think there's something that I remember hearing. I think it was like Penn Jillette said it or something like this. That if 100 years ago, video games had been around and football hadn't, and then football just came out now, or American football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, any sport for that matter, if that came out of nowhere all of a sudden, and real children in the real world were really breaking their legs and snapping their knees, how would parents react to that now? They'd be going crazy, wouldn't they? This isn't like little Johnny in his bedroom, baseball batting a fictional. This is real violence done by real kids to real kids. There's been over 600 deaths of children related to sports in the past 50 years. Real children have died. Right. And do you think that the mainstream media swayed it? So parents are acting like videos are the bad thing, but really, if you were to bring football in as a new thing, that is way worse. Football kills more people than video games, but one's acceptable and rooted for, and I wonder what is it all brainwashing?
I don't know. It's there's obvious benefits from playing a sport, isn't there? You get physical benefits, you get outside. People can see that straight away. That if little Johnny's running around in the field, he's getting exercise, isn't he? He's using all his energy there, so he won't be an arsehole when he gets home this evening. He'll get to bed on time. They can see the obvious benefits.
Some
there.
Peace and quiet.
Whereas I'd like to see the stats on it. How many gaming related deaths there are versus sports related deaths. It'd be interesting to look at, but it's just too easy. I mean, you've got to look deeper, haven't you, and find the actual facts.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is more than likely going to be society. It always is at the end of the day. People just like to blame things. But so we've just been speaking about a perfect example of one of the main stigmas of video games, which is that video games are for kids. We've just been talking about the fictional little Johnny. Shouts out to you. But the truth of the matter is, video games aren't actually played by as many kids as you would think. In fact, last year, only 33% of games that were released were given the universal rating that were suitable for kids under 10. Gaz, you was telling me some facts a little bit earlier. The average age of gamers is actually quite shocking, isn't it?
Yeah.
30 plus.
35. Like if you're a male, then your average age is 33 for a gamer, and 37 if you're a female. So that's quite striking. The other thing was 72% of gamers are aged 18 or over. So again, it ties into the support the fact that not just kids play games. This is an adult hobby these days, and people need to recognise that and accept it, because there is a lot of stigma attached with gaming. And if you compare the stats that I was most shocked about was the women over the age of 18 make up 31% of people who play games. That is huge when you consider compare that against boys under 18. Make up 18% of people who play games. So there's more women over 18 or 18 and over play games than boys under 18.
Yeah,
which is a phenomenal fact for me.
I think it's quite shocking, isn't it? Because you hear a lot. The 18-year-old lads and under are very vocal, so you hear them a lot, and the women are clearly just actually playing games rather than talking about playing games. But Liam, you can remember we had an interview with David Leinhelm or whatever, didn't we? And the Ghouls and Owls guy.
Yeah, the Australian senator.
That's
Leinhelm.
That's
it. Advocating freedom from censorship for video games in Australia.
Yeah,
is like his whole platform.
And it's because Australia they're pretty far behind, really. Like recently, they've came to the conclusion that video games aren't a children's toy, and they thought that for quite a while, and that's why there was no 18 certificate, because why would a toy be for an adult?
Maxed out at 15 in Australia. The old rating used to be.
Exactly. So loads of games got banned. I'm sure I think Manhunt obviously got banned pretty much everywhere. Hitman was banned. Outlast.
Bully, I guess.
Yeah.
Bully was one.
Bully for inciting violence amongst children, I think it was.
Yeah.
There was quite a few, like, some of them, like, there was even a college football game, like Blitz the League or something, which was banned because you could use performance-enhancing drugs in it. And so they just banned it outright.
So these censorship boards take it very seriously. They don't take the time to look into the games and understand that it's a medium the same as television. Or...
I think it's the dismissive attitude that I find. Like exactly like you said, they don't find the time. They don't do the research. They don't look at scientific studies, because there's studies out there that show that video games aren't as bad as mainstream media would have you believe. But they take that propaganda and they base their laws on it. It's like they don't give anybody any credit for making their own decisions. They think that people who play games are so influenceable. Is that even a word? What's the word I'm looking for?
Easily influential.
Yeah. That they can't make their own minds up and know that taking drugs is wrong. Never mind whether they do it in a video game or not. Like, that killing someone is wrong. You don't, just because you do it in a video game doesn't mean that you're likely to do it in real life. And there's that attitude that's ingrained, especially in politics in Australia at this time. It's that attitude that needs to change, and this is why we're bringing this discussion up. It's just try and generate the discussion around it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that you need to know about teenagers, and we all know this, don't we? Because we were all teenagers. They fucking don't care about the rules. So what I mean is, in France, for example, they have like a glass of wine with their meal since they're a little kid. It's like, oh, it's a bit of wine. When you're a teenager in the UK, which is, by the way, the binge drinking capital of the world, we're told alcohol's bad. So when you get some alcohol, it's like, oh my, like the rebel inside you is like, oh, if you just make it not a big deal, then it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
If the use of drugs in video games isn't a big taboo subject, it's just like, well, what? So who am I impressing by doing this? But if it's such like a naughty, bad thing, you're going to have some dude in Australia like, yo, I've got the import on Hitman 2. Oh man, you should see this shit. It's crazy. Banned in this country. It makes it more of a...
Yeah.
And then it kind of breeds that trust issue between the older generation and the younger generation. We're going to talk about the benefits of video games in a little bit, but I want to talk about the size of the industry. People underestimate video gamers, like we just spoke about then. People seem to think that we're easily influenced, we're stupid, and we're murderous. But another thing is that I think people are taken for granted. You don't see these numbers on the BBC. You don't see these numbers on CNN. How big the industry is, right? So I'm going to tell you how big the fucking industry is.
Tell us, Jake. Tell us how big the industry
is. The video game industry is over double the size of the film industry and over triple the size of the music industry in terms of global revenue. 2014, the games industry made $83 billion. The film industry only made $36 billion. And the music industry made $15 billion. Get out of here, music industry.
Yeah.
So
you're worthless, yeah.
Is that a surprise to you guys? If you weren't video gamers, you don't hear much about how well a video game's done on the news, I guess. Is that a surprise to you guys or not?
It's not surprising. It's more astounding. The fact that the film industry, the game industry is double the size of the film industry, over double, and triple the size of the music industry. You put those two industries together, you still don't have as much money as the gaming industry. It's phenomenal, is what it is, and it. How much longer? How many facts like this have to come up before people realise that legitimize gaming as a hobby? And
I think a lot of it has to do with the discrepancy between pricing, though. Like you said, a movie ticket's like £10-12 here in the UK, but a game's like £40-50.
True.
So I think that probably factors in a little bit. But no, I'm not surprised that games are bigger,
Considering the industry is so big, we see in the media, celebrities, Ben Affleck, Scarlett Johansson, whenever they change their hair colour, it's the news.
Mm-hmm.
The industry is so big. Hideo Kojima was on the BBC quite recently. But can you imagine a world where game developers, Cliff Bleszinski was like Ben Affleck? Can you imagine that world? Because the money is there.
Yeah.
Do you think that would be ridiculous if we saw something like that? Mainstream news reporting on...
You know what? Talking about it and looking how far the movie industry's come and music and stuff, I wouldn't be surprised if that does happen in 20 years. I would not be surprised, but I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it. But, the game industry is still evolving. It's still becoming more mainstream. It's becoming more accepted. So... Cliff Bleszinski, the next Ben Affleck confirmed.
For you there.
It would be really fun. I would love to live in that world, that's for sure.
He almost was that at one point. He was like the rock star game developer back in the 90s and early 2000s.
Exactly. So
but you're talking mainstream, you're talking like maybe, front page of newspapers, maybe not ever. Because newspapers are just like for the old people and shit, aren't they?
Yeah. And people on Love Island for some reason, that's been on the front page as well. It's a weird demographic, isn't it? Like you're saying, it's normally politicians done something bad. Bikini Babe on beach is back with X.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if it was Peter Molyneux made another game on the Sun or whatever? He did what? Is this just a fable?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's surprising. I think the music industry's got a lot to say for itself with 15 billion. I think the fact that it's so big that eventually it will crumble the mainstream media. And I want to talk about another nerdy bit of culture that has swamped the average human being. If you have been to the cinema in the past 20 years, there's a very high chance you would have seen a comic book movie. Now imagine in the early 90s a fully grown man saying to his mates, I've just been reading the new Superman issue or whatever. He'd be laughed out the room. Now you don't think twice. I mean, it's the cool thing to go and see an Avengers film. If you don't like Marvel films, you're not cool. That's how mainstream it's got. People go, ugh, you don't like The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger is the Joker. It's so mainstream that it's almost like you're the loser if you don't like it now.
Yeah.
And comic book films, it has got a domination over the film industry. Do you ever think that it'll get that way, where when all these older people, kind of just expire, and people of our generation are the forebears of the generations below us. Do you think it'll ever be that mainstream that it'll be like, what? You haven't played the latest, I don't know, Call of Duty or something like that. Do you think we'll ever get to that point?
I think we're already there, Like a lot of just general people who casually play games like FIFA and COD for that. I've seen they do talk like that. They say, "What? You've not played FIFA yet? Oh, come round my house. We'll have a game." I think it's already there.
You're absolutely right, and I think that we've got to point out that from the young demographics, like the cool kids, younger generation, they're obviously more accepted, and the thing with comic books as well, it's like we're trying to distinguish between here in this conversation is that mainstream, it's the mainstream media and politicians and things like that who don't give the gaming industry as much legitimacy as they should. Now, obviously in popular culture and the young kids on the internet and kids down at school, in the park, whatever, they know where it's called. They accept gaming for what it is. We're talking about people who don't accept that the gaming industry is is a legitimate pastime, and I think that's like you say, it's going to get better when they expire, and it's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like when gamers grow up and become politicians, when gamers grow up and get into those newspaper jobs, like editor at a newspaper, that's when it will change. Like that's when mainstream media will change.
So we're
and become
fully
more,
on course.
I think so.
It's just a matter of time at this point, and putting up with people turning their nose up at the industry.
Yeah, it's
right?
that like snobbery, isn't it? It's like snobbery. That's the whole point of this discussion. Is like we want to get rid of that snobbery associated.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want to
maybe we should all play GTA and go on a murderous rampant. No, let's not do that.
Yeah, I mean, you think about kids growing up and getting pressure from their parents to stop playing games, get out more, and shit like that. Maybe we with the generation that felt that pressure, or maybe not you guys because you're a bit younger than me, but I definitely did. I did, and pressure from maybe your spouse or whatever to say, we're wasting time playing video games or whatever. But my kids that growing up now, I play games with my kids. It's part of like what they do. They love it, and I encourage them to play games because I realize there's benefits from it, and they can learn a lot from games and such.
Funny
like. So
you should say that. Benefits.
Sorry, you. I'm taking over.
No, it's good. I'm just trying to funnel you into where I want you to go.
Okay.
So
push me down.
Let's talk about the personal benefits. I want to talk about you guys. What do you guys get out of video games personally? And then we'll talk about some known, proven psychological benefits of video games. But what about you guys? What is it about video games that makes it your hobby of choice rather than playing football or unwillingly via social pressures getting addicted to Class A drugs with your friends, guys?
A lot of it for me is escapism. It's like you can't. It's like imagine it's like reading a good book. You get really immersed in that world. But with a game, it's like you can actually see all that world, and I like that aspect. It's like you get to see just like really far out there stuff you don't see every day.
Yeah,
like it lets you just escape into another world for like an hour or two.
And it's relaxing as well. So you wind down after a hard day's work. You want to do something relaxing. Some people choose to watch telly, watch soaps. That's up to them. I would never do that. But like Liam said, you can play games as that, just escape the real world and get, like watching a good movie or something. It's the same thing. For me, another one is having that play online and play with a group of friends and having that community about it, and play a game like a online game, having a cooperative kind of outlook and trying to achieve goals together and performing tasks, that kind of thing, that cooperation that you've got with online games. That is a benefit. You learn to work well as a group. You learn to talk, interact with people, and assign tasks and work together. That's a huge benefit for me. Like and also another one, strategy games. Learning to manage resources, to think about prioritizing your tasks and your time, all that kind of shit. There's so many benefits from strategy
and
games.
there's reward. Yeah, now it's weird that that we find somebody like older people talking smack about video games, and it's because you look back at the history of it, and our forebears have been playing games for years and years and years, all the way back in history, not just the Olympics and things like that, but poetry games and word games and things like intellectual
card games, dice games.
Exactly, and the reason for that, I suppose, is that when you're a child, games are one of the most educational things you can do. It's not rigid like a curriculum. You learn things, instinctive things, how to manage reward and risk and strategy, and you'll get rewarded if you do well and things like that. When you play hide and seek, instinctively you're learning to hide from predators because it's inbuilt in your brain, and then that's one of the most efficient ways to learn. And as you grow up, your brain is always producing what you need to learn, and as an adult it's an extension of that. You're still learning. You're put into situations that could be quite realistic situations. What I mean is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, for example, right? And there's nothing that realistic about running around in a buggy with a frying pan. But it's the fact that...
you don't do that on a weekend, because that's what I do.
No, that's why you've got such a good physique, isn't
right,
it?
Yeah. I'm running around with a frying pan, like swatting people across the head with it.
That's what they do in
Is that just me?
Well, what I mean about that, though, is the people that you're playing against in a game like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds is 100 real people with real brains. They're thinking how to outsmart you. So when you outsmart somebody in that game, you're not even if it's a virtual world, you're really outsmarting another human being. You're strategizing. Okay, you've got the edge of these people instinctively, and that keeps you sharp. It keeps your wits about you. So even though you're in a very, made up situation, the things that you're feeling and the things that you're learning can be applied in real life. You become more of a strategist if you play a lot of strategy games.
Yeah.
You learn to hold back, not just be so impulsive. Like if you're playing like an FPS, sometimes there's like a civilian or someone you're not supposed to shoot. You keep your wits about.
Yeah, well, based on that, I mean, I did watch a TED Talk by Daphne Bavelia from 2012. It was the TED Talk on YouTube called Your Brain on Video Games, and she's a scientist, neuroscientist, and she's studied this and like the benefits of actually playing games. Now, I'll just summarize basically what she says in that. It's well worth the watch. It's absolutely awesome. So, she tried to debunk a myth where people say, general wisdom is that screen time makes your eyesight worse, and she actually found that action gamers, players of games like Battlegrounds and shit, show improved vision over people who don't use screens a lot. So this was an actual like laboratory tested scenario. So she showed in her study that action gamers have better eyesight than people who don't play games. Another one was attention, like you touched on just now.
Yep.
People say that playing games gives you attention problems and a greater distractibility, whereas in fact the study that she conducted in her laboratory, action gamers resolve conflicts faster. So the test that they gave was where you write a word but in a different color. So if it's like write the word yellow but you have a green color, and there's that conflict between what the word says and what colour is. And so action gamers can actually distinguish and tell you what the colour is quicker than people who don't play games, because if you like, what colour is this word?
They're used to conflict and information. And you
so
have to
they
filter that out.
So the test showed that action gamers resolve that conflict quicker. And the other one was tracking peripheral movement. So the say if you're in a car, for instance, and you're driving, all these peripheral things that people might be walking out in front of you, or there's a bike that might be swerving or something. She showed that in the laboratory, obviously again, that action gamers have better peripheral movement and track more things in the peripheral than a regular person. So to summarize, there's 3 different parts of the brain that showed like growth or were better after for gamers. So there's the parietal cortex, the frontal lobe, and the anterior cingulate. We're all three parts of the brain. They used brain imaging cameras to reveal that these networks are more efficient in people who play video games. Now, that is scientific study.
Facts.
It's not fact. It's a study. So it's suggesting that there are benefits, like physical brain benefits. And I love this kind of shit. Yeah, I actually really interested in the brain and neuroscience and shit like that. So this kind of thing I was lapping up. I really strongly suggest anybody who's interested in like brain science and shit and gaming, just check out that TED Talk. There'll be a link in the description.
Yeah, exactly. We'll put a link to quite a lot of the facts that we mentioned. We want to try and make it as credible as possible, so we're going to put links to our sources where we source. We're not just saying, oh, we heard that a lot of the things we're saying have been from scientific facts and studies that have been done. So you can find a link to that. Give yourself some ammunition next time your granddad's like, what are you doing
wasting
to that prostitute on Grand Theft Auto 5?
Well, actually, it's enhancing my brain function.
Yeah, and I'm getting my money back, Granddad. Anyway, so, hey, who says that we don't teach you anything, all right? That's our discussion on Video Game Stigma. Now, I know we're kind of preaching to the choir a little bit, but obviously it's nice when you're part of a community to get a bit of support from the community. So I don't know, let us know your experiences. If you face any stigma yourself, if you're an advocate for video game rights like we are, if you've had this discussion with your friends before, if you've swatted people down that have tried to talk smack, let us know, because it's always nice to hear from people that are like-minded at the end of the day. And that's the platform of the internet, which isn't covered by mainstream media, is so we can really have a voice together. So get involved. That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
And let's get a discussion going, because that's good.
We really want to have this conversation for those people at home who don't have a lot of people who play games and don't have a lot of support community as such. So we want to relay our experiences and tell our thoughts about the game industry and legitimize it for you guys who have social pressures. People tell you that gaming is bad, you shouldn't be doing it. That you're made to feel guilty for having a hobby like playing games. It's ridiculous, okay? In this day and age, you shouldn't accept that. And that's why we're having this discussion, to like empower you guys to think it's a legitimate hobby. I'm, screw you. I'm doing what I want to do with my time.
Exactly.
Enjoy it.
So, good segue, guys, because we're going to talk about what you've been doing with a lot of your time this week. Let's talk about Kingsway. Kingsway, for those that don't know, is a one-man project, a one-man game developed by Andrew Morrish and published by Adult Swim Entertainment, and it's a roguelike adventure game. You could call it an RPG, I suppose, as well.
Yeah.
The game's quite well known for its visual style, which is made to look like an operating system from the mid-90s, Windows 95, Windows 3 or whatever.
Windows 3.1 or something.
That's exactly it. And it's gained some minor attention for it, and arguably not enough. So why don't we just get straight into it?
That's
guys,
what we're here to argue, isn't it? That's sure.
Yeah.
This game needs more attention from people because it is an awesome little game.
Criminally underrated. The biggest robbery of 2017 so far is Kingsway, not being spoken about. No articles about it, apart from Rock Paper Shotgun saying it might be a gimmick, it might not. It's a robbery.
I saw a Polygon review that was give it 8 out of 10. So
that's nice.
A bit of legitimacy there.
So it's only got like 120 reviews on Steam as well. It's like on the actual store page, only 120 people have bothered to actually talk about their experience with it.
So me and Gaz make up at 1% of the population of the world playing it. That's just weird.
So a bit of info about the game. It is an indie game, obviously. So it's priced at an indie game. It's $10. It's £6.99. It's a really good value proposition when you consider that I've played it for over 20 hours already and it hasn't been out a week. So if you're thinking, do I go to the movies or do I play Kingsway? I would play Kingsway. It's better value proposition if you're short on cash or you want a decent game.
It's a small little game.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the physics of the game.
Sure.
We're talking about it is a Windows kind of clone from the mid-90s or whatever.
Exactly. So that's all encompassing. Everything about it is very old school. Like even a file size, 40 megabyte, you could probably fit it on a couple of floppy disks.
Yeah. I thought there was a problem. I thought it was a launcher. When I downloaded 40 meg, I was like, where's the rest of the game? That is the whole game.
Yeah.
It's smaller than many App Store games.
Exactly. So when you download it, it's not really lacking content, is it? So the main premise of the game is you're an adventurer. You can pick your style of play, a rogue or a warrior or a mage.
There's many different classes to choose.
Yeah, exactly. Like an RPG, you've got your strength or your int or your dex, all your points that you want to put in. And you have to adventure this mystical, magical island. There's a shadow looming in from the west. So the game, you kind of move to the east constantly. You want to be aiming from left to right, going on your adventures. It's kind of like a text-based game, a lot of it. When you arrive at a place, you'll have a text option pop up. You find a house. What do you do?
Yeah.
There's, of course, combat. And the combat is something that's got a real unique feel to it, and it works like pop-ups, doesn't it?
I love the combat. I think it's a very. I've never seen a game like this where it's like text-based. It's very unique, and it's kind of like an action game, although it's not. You have to perform actions. There's like the battle window kind of floats around, so you've got to aim. You've got aim for the fight button or the hit button or whatever, and also you've got to manage your magic and shit. And sometimes there'll be other pop-ups, like other windows that a poison arrow comes at you or a rock falls, and you've got to click avoid. So depending on your agility stat, how fast these things come across the screen, and the windows can go behind one another as well. So you might have to click a window and then there might be multiple enemies at the same time. So you're getting attacked from different enemies behind each window. It's very engrossing, just in the sense that it's an RPG game. You're building your character and you're gaining points and you're gaining stats and shit, but also it's very entertaining as an action game. Very
hands-on. That's the thing. So when you think of like strength and int and dex and this text-based thing, you're gonna think, I'm gonna be doing a lot of reading, and it's only 40 meg. But no, like Gaz is saying, the battles are very hands-on. the fact that the enemies come up as a pop-up and they're moving around constantly, so you can't just keep your mouse and keep clicking. You've got the fact that things pop up, like you're saying. You've got to spend a lot of time with your wits about you. Some enemies can like minimize the window and stuff like that. Yeah. So you've got to then go to your start bar and open it up again.
Or like if you take a big hit, your storage bag, your bag might get minimized. So you shit, I can't use a potion unless I open bag. So you're looking for your bag at the same time you're getting hit.
Yeah.
So you get your bags out.
It's real-time combat as well. So like, there's everything's done in like loading bars, progress bars. So their attack is like loading, and then when it reaches that, they attack you. So it's not like a turn-based combat game, like a turn-based RPG. It is kind of real-time, and that's what's so alluring about it. One of the things. The next and the biggest pull of this game, I suppose, is its roguelike. So when you die, but you can take an heirloom over, like the game Rogue, and you start again. But each death doesn't feel like punishment. It feels like knowledge. And that's the important thing with this game.
Yeah.
You don't feel like death's punishment. Liam, you were talking to me about roguelikes a little bit earlier on. You've played a couple, stranger to them. Kingsway, what do you reckon of the look of it? The aesthetic, is it appealing? Is it?
Yeah, it's really striking. It's like it captures your attention as soon as you see it. It's like what's this? Like I've not played it yet, but you guys have been saying and the art style and everything, I definitely want to give it a shot.
Yeah, with roguelikes in general, what do you think it is about them that makes them so? Because roguelike's kind of like you like the fly that's hitting at the wall and smashing you, and you just keep going and going and going. What do you reckon it is about these games that make death so, I don't know, profitable, I suppose is the word I'm looking for.
I think it's like, it's all like iterative, isn't it? So every time you die, like you said, it's knowledge. You feel like you've learned something and you want to better yourself on that.
Yeah.
So like, it's that feeling of like playing the next time you're going to be that much better.
It's that like it's a bit of determination as well, I guess. That one more try sort of thing. Like same with like Civilization, where you're like, oh no, I've got to have one more turn. Like roguelikes, I've noticed a lot of people just say like, oh no, I've got to go for another run. I've just got to. It's that addictive quality to it.
It is, you're absolutely right. And I was a bit concerned about the roguelike aspect of this game when I first started, because it's an adventure game, right? You want a full adventure. But when the adventure only lasts like 3 hours or 4 hours max, because that's how long roughly it takes to explore, depending on your play speed, obviously, how long it takes to explore and get to the end of one of the island one time. So I was a bit concerned that there was a limiting factor to my adventure. I knew that it was gonna fail. I was thinking I'd much prefer a game where it's a sprawling open world that I can keep my shit.
Yeah, your progress is kept.
Your progress is kept. But the roguelike element in this, I haven't played it like through multiple playthroughs now. It's very enjoyable, the fact that we haven't touched on it yet, but the items that you get in game, like you get loads of buffs to the items, and there's like different coloured items. Like there's yellow, there's red, which have debuffs as well. There's green items, and they very much change. They might even change the way that you play one run of the game, because you might get a buff for magic regeneration. So you're like, wow, I've got 15% magic regeneration with this item. So I can tailor my whole gameplay now around the fact that I'm basically regenerating magic really, really quickly. So you use loads of magic spells, and you know that by the time you get to the next enemy, it's going to be all regenerated. So I love that aspect about it. It's one of my main hooks about the game, is that there's these like unique items that they feel really rare. They're not like incremental upgrades to the item that you've got. You get them as well, but every so often you get these awesome items, and if you get fully kitted out in all these kind of buffed items where you get +5 strength and +4 agility, they really make a huge difference, and I love that about it.
Yeah, it's pretty procedurally generated as well, so you're not, every time you start a game, it's not the exact same thing every time, including these unique items that you get. So like you're saying, especially the fact that it's a run, you might get one that's +5 strength, and that's the thing. It's not a long time commitment, so you think, oh, well, what's the harm of me just trying to put my playstyle towards strength this one time? Because eventually you'll wipe and you'll start again. But the fact that it's procedurally generated makes it quite a refreshing thing, that when you do die and come back, it'll be done again. Interesting, guys, because another game that you were really fond of this year, has a lot of similar things in the sense that it's roguelike anyway,
Yeah.
and that's Everspace.
Right.
I think you might have discovered your love for roguelikes this year. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, thinking about it, I mean, the idea of roguelikes seems repetitive. Like, it's like, is it Sisyphus that rolls a rock up a hill and then sees it roll back down again? He does that his whole life, just does the same thing over and over again. And it's like it seems like it shouldn't be fun, but it actually, it's really fun. It's really rewarding. But, I've played lots of roguelikes in the past. I didn't really realize they were a roguelike or that was a category in the past. Like Faster Than Light, I love that game.
Yeah.
And that's a roguelike.
Yes.
And it kind of reminds me a lot of roguelike, Faster Than Light in certain ways as well. But I did like Everspace. Again, an action, like the action space flight in that. But yeah, two of my favorite games this year have been roguelikes.
It's interesting because I know we can't really go a podcast lately without mentioning it, but I'm gonna have to. Sorry guys, but PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds in a way kind of is like roguelike because every time you start the game, it's kind of random where you get the loot and stuff like that, what you get. Each time the players or the enemies are in a different place because they're real people.
Yeah.
It's a short game. You wipe a lot. You know what you're going into. There's that one more run, one more game aesthetic. I don't want to go out on a limb and say it's roguelike, but there's a lot of similarities.
There's a lot of elements
a
of
lot of the
roguelike
things.
games.
Exactly. And it seems to be a smash hit with the people, like you're saying. On paper, it doesn't seem that fun. But when the fact that like each time you starts from fresh, you're not like loading up your Witcher 3 save with 120 hours of progression and all that. You're not bogged down by any of that. It's just you go into this game for a little adventure, and you get your little adventure. It's like a little short story, and then you're done. You don't like load up a game, you're halfway through it, and you leave, and you're still halfway through it. This is, you can have your adventure from start to finish. You can have a run.
Yeah, the other couple of things that I like about this game is that when you start it, obviously you're learning a lot, and you make a lot of mistakes. Like you might travel east far too quickly, and you'll die. You'll be like, oh shit. Like we tapped on earlier, within 3 or 4 run-throughs, you learn so much so quickly. But it's not like it's hard to learn. It's like a really enjoyable process of figuring it out. Like, oh, I know what I need to do now. My next run, I need to do this, and that really inspires you or like motivates you to want to play another run. And I love that about it. Like when you do die, you're like, shit, I know what I'm going to do this time. I'm going to try it this way, and then see how that works out, and then you learn a little bit from your next run. So that's one of my other favorite parts. Last favorite part are the classes. The classes are awesome. Yeah. There's like warrior. There's rogue,
adventurer, beast skin.
And every time you finish the game, or if you complete the game, you unlock some more. So I've unlocked like a worthless class, which starts with like 1 rating on all of them, and you've got 1 arm, so you haven't got a shield arm, which is awesome. Like I've played through with that, and I completed it with that too. So there's other like better classes, but each different class has got different abilities, right? So at the end, when you level up, you get to unlock. You've got a skill point, and you can unlock certain abilities, but each class has got different abilities. Like you might have 40% increased attack on your first attack, and then that level, so you can level that up to 5 points. Or you might have another one of my favorites is sidestep, right? So when the enemy's attacking you and the bar goes up towards the top, you can click sidestep. It uses some magic, but their bar goes right to the start and they don't actually hit you. It's like, it's awesome.
They're like loading bar, which when it ends, so it's like,
but they're limited to class C. So you might play through a few times with a certain class, but you completely change your play style if you play a class that you're not used to, you're not familiar with, and it gives you that replayability factor, which ties into how much the game is worth to you.
Exactly.
You're playing it over.
That's an important factor because a lot of the time the game's procedurally generated. What you find is random. So the classes is a way of kind of at least giving you some stability. So like if you play a rogue each time, because it's not just combat abilities, you can have it where like a rogue doesn't need a key to unlock a chest, so you don't have to worry about that, when you unlock the passive ability. So yeah, even though there's a lot of procedurally generated or random things that you find, you can kind of rely on that a little bit more. Like you at least have got a firm footing somewhere. So before we move on, let's just talk about the developer, Andrew Morris, right? He is from this new school, seemingly, of developers that are just like, nah, man, I'm out here alone. I'm gonna read out a couple of games that have gone in the same vein. Cave Story, Axiom Verge, Papers, Please, Banished, and Stardew Valley were all made by one guy. Not the same guy, but each game was made by
a single person.
A one-man wonder. And it seems to be going well for them. Liam, with one person making everything, do you think that's going to be creative control for the good, or do you think that's going to swamp them up too much? What do you reckon? Do you think there's a place for this sort of thing? Is it becoming a genre that'll... Is it becoming a genre? One-man game? Like, people are interested in it?
I think there's a place for it, yeah. Like you said, they have full creative control, and that allows them to follow through completely on their vision. Whether that vision will be good or not, who knows? But I think from the creative side, it's probably best for them. You know, they've not got anyone telling them, oh, you need tack on multiplayer so we can sell it to the masses. It's just like Stardew Valley. He only put multiplayer in the game after it became a much requested feature from the community. Originally, it was just single player only.
Do you think that you'd be interested in the game more or less if you found that one man made it?
Probably more, you know. Just especially if it's an ambitious game. Like with Banished, that's a fully 3D town builder, isn't it?
Yeah.
And one guy making that's some seriously impressive skill there.
Yeah, took him a long time. And yeah, right, I guess maybe it's just because it's the essence of one person's creativity. It's not even like checked through with his mates. It's just like he's done it.
Yeah. I think there are pros and cons to working with different scenarios. Like I said, the pro to it is that you've got total creative freedom, but the con might be that you don't have any feedback from people around you in your group, but you'd need to find that from have some friends or whatever, or some contacts who bounce some ideas off or something. So there's ways that you could work, but yes, it's definitely becoming more of a trend. I mean, you think about how much money Stardew Valley made. That's $2 million or something.
It was
that dude's rich now because he sat in his office at home for 2 years making this one game. It's like it's a legitimate way to make a game these days, and more people should be doing it.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of encouraging seeing it. It's been done recently quite a lot. Cave Story was massive as well. That was a small. Well, one guy. Undertale was a small team, another massive one. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, and it's great to see that Kingsway's slowly but surely gaining some form of acknowledgement, and we think that it's very, very, very underrated.
As we tie up this discussion about Kingsway, then a couple of thoughts on a part of there is that it's definitely one of my games of the year this year, and I would. If you're interested in the aesthetic or anything that we've discussed as far as the mechanics of the game, RPG kind of game where you've got a character and you build it up and you unlock skills, a bit like the old Fallout that I remember, and you unlock a skill at every level up. Like I love that about it. If you're interested at all, just try it. It's £6.99. It's $10. It may well turn out to be your game of the year. It's my favorite indie game of this year. Yeah. Obviously, you've played more indie games than me, but I absolutely love this game. Talking about it, I can't wait to get back to it. I don't know if it's the best indie game I've ever played.
That's massive, League. That's it. That's huge praise.
I absolutely love it. There's nothing that I would say was bad about this.
I played 4 indie games this week. Yonder Cloud Clutch Chronicles, Serial Cleaner, Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, and this one. Kingsway is heads and tails above everyone else, and Serial Cleaner overshadowed. They came out at the same time. It overshadowed it completely. It is miles better than any other indie game out at the moment. Any game in the past month that's been released is miles better.
And we talked about it, sorry to cut across you there, but we talked about it at the beginning of the discussion that not a lot of people are talking about Kingsway, and this is again why we want to talk about it and put it out there, because we love this game, and hopefully it will gain traction as it goes along and gain that following, maybe like Stardew Valley did. I don't know how that turned out at launch, but this game needs more attention and needs more people playing it and needs more people enjoying it, because for what it is damn amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right. With indie games, they take a while to build the momentum, and like Hollow Knight is only just getting mainstream articles written about it, and that's been out since February, but that's finally being recognised as the amazing game that is. So yeah, really be part of the first wave, just so you can say you are. Do you know what I mean? If anything, you can feel good knowing that you were one of the people that made Kingsway the success it is. I think this is going to go far, and I think it'll be in quite a few people's Game of the Year lists later on, and I don't think I'm going to be wrong about that. So yeah, Kingsway, amazing, well done. Okay, so that was Kingsway then. So let's get into our brand new segment, the Fact of the Week.
Do we have a jingle for this yet?
Maybe, and if we do, it'll be here. And if not, it's because Mike was lazy. So every single week, we're going to bring you a hot fact, and this week's fact is courtesy of Acclaim Entertainment and Mortal Kombat. Eagle-eyed, or should I say legal-eyed viewers, may have noticed there's a character in Ally McBeal called Johnny Cage. So moving on to our Patreon questions then. We've got 12, 13 questions. And we had quite a lot of questions that have been asked again and again and again. So I want you guys to know that if we don't answer your question specifically, we've probably read it and just gone,
you know, like, asked it before.
Well, yeah,
what we talked about having a frequently asked questions section.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to get implementing that really.
We really should, because it's stuff like what classic game do you think's worthy of remaster? One of the questions was, you know, what game would you recommend? Da, da, da. So we should really sort that out and put it on Patreon. So yeah, we'll probably do that, guys. We're going to jump into the questions that we've not answered before, as far as I'm aware, and we're going to start it off with Jim Siggs, and he says, "Hello, Pretty Good Gaming. Speaking of Nazi zombies, how influential do you think the Nazis are in video games? They seem to be the world's favourite bad guy." Yeah.
Yeah, no one will feel bad about shooting a Nazi.
The Nazis committed in the Western world what is widely considered the biggest massacre in Western history. So I suppose, well, in, you know, unless you want to go like back hundreds of years. So I guess it's like they're the easiest denominator to try and like not offend anyone. Do you know what I mean?
That's the problem. I think games developers look at this and they think, who can we have as our bad guy? Because you're at risk of offending people. You think about Far Cry now that are going to the Midwest in America, and a lot of outcry about that. There was the thing about Bolivia in Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yeah, government tried to sue.
Government got upset about that. It's like everyone's getting upset if they're the bad guys these days. Now Nazis, it's a home run. Who cares if a Nazi dies?
Yeah, exactly.
Not many people are going to defend a Nazi, are they?
No one's going to go out and state, you know, hey guys, we're being unfair to the Nazis. So that's where it lies. Yeah, in a world now where everybody's getting upset about stuff like that. Yeah, it's a pretty good one. That or demons. So yeah, thanks, Jim. Max Duffy says, "Hey guys, I really enjoy your Twitch streams. Is it just me, or have you not streamed for 2 weeks or so now? I'm in Australia, so maybe I've got the times wrong. Unfortunately, I don't use any social media, so I can't just tweet you. Thanks, fellas. Great podcast." Well, thanks for subscribing to our Patreon and asking a question. We would have answered it on social media probably, but the answer is we're really busy.
Yeah,
at the moment.
I think the focus has switched this last couple of weeks. We found that doing the streams 3 times a week was taken away from the videos. Now, first and foremost, we want to be good at doing videos on YouTube, and Twitch was just a side thing. We started up because if we had a new game we wanted to share it with people, we could play it, and you guys could enjoy watching us play a new game before it was released or something like that. And then it turned into, oh, hang on a minute, if we do it 3 times a week and get partnered and maybe make a stream of revenue from it. And it's like, well, we don't really have enough time in a day to do everything. So we wish we did, and we do intend to do more streams in the future. It's just we've got priorities at the moment. That's
they're on the YouTube side, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
we want to pump as much energy into the videos on YouTube and get them as you know, as high quality
as possible. Yeah. So it's not, the dream's not dead, Max. But for now, just put it to sleep, baby. Next up, Simply Phil asks, well, it's a bit of a long one, this one. A bit of an attempt to tie in a couple of your recent YouTube videos. So good attempt, Phil. With the rise of mobile gaming and the fact that most households have a tablet, do you think there's a place in the market for a peripheral piece of kit similar to keyboards or iPads that would be an old school joystick or more modern controller? This way, mobile gaming could take on real games rather than the point and click style it currently does. If you saw a product like this on Kickstarter, would you invest? So basically, yeah, will we see something where you can plug it into your phone and it might act as a controller or something like that?
You can already do that.
You can do that with Bluetooth.
There's a lot of Bluetooth controllers. Android even supports USB controllers. It's like if you can get a USB adapter, you could plug in an old 360 pad. It's like, if you have an Xbox One controller, it has built-in support on Android. You can just pair it and play games that way.
So you can get a tablet, full-on tablet game, play it on your controller, and with modern technology, the processor they put in these tablets these days, you can play some really shit-hot games.
Yeah. So that is impressive. So Phil, how about that? So not only does it already exist, but unknowingly, you've already got the capability right there. You've already got it in your house.
Yeah.
How weird is that? So there we go. Hope that answers your question. Morton asks, well, first he starts it off with a fact. Recently in Norway, there was a lift on the ban for running advertisements mixed in with the videos on a TV channel. Do you think the change in Norway will affect the rest of the world, and do you think that people who still watch regular TV will get fed up and leave?
They've lifted the ban on running advertisement in mixed in
with videos. Do you mean like more in like there's an advert, there's a program, and then there's an ad break? Because that happens everywhere in the world.
Yeah, that happens for us. Mixed in with the video. So does he mean advert on the screen at the same time?
Like, or product placement?
Like running, like you see on American TV where they pop up along the
Right.
bottom, like buy
That makes
Oreos
sense.
now,
Yeah.
stuff like that, whilst you watch
So
your
product
Family
placement,
Guy.
that kind of thing.
Right. Well, if it's that, then yeah, people. I would get fed up with that. I really don't like that sort of thing. I think there's a whole discussion to be had, maybe for another time, because it's a bit of a long one, about where telly is going and with Netflix and stuff like that.
Can I just touch on it?
Of
With
course you
with
can.
Netflix, you don't get any adverts at all. You pay your price, your subscription price, and you don't get any adverts. That's part of the service. But when you pay for like, is it Now TV
Yeah,
or
Sky's one, isn't it?
Yeah.
you get adverts. Even though you've paid your subscription, you're watching something on demand. You get adverts halfway through your show. It's like, what the fuck am I paying for?
Yeah.
Sky's
Get this
ridiculous.
shit. Get this advert out of my, I'm so used to Netflix now. I guess I'm, spoiled a little bit, but I don't know. It irritates me. It really does.
Yeah, I pay like £80 a month for something stupid for Sky Q at home, and even on like shows where there's not meant to be ads, like Game of Thrones and stuff like that, they edit it and put ads in, even though I'm paying like £80 a month
Exactly.
for this supposedly premium service.
Exactly. Same thing as the cinema. You go to the cinema, you pay money to go to the cinema, and then they throw 20 minutes of pre-roll ads at you.
Imagine
It's
if
like,
that,
fuck.
Imagine they did started doing that in mid-film. Imagine how bad that
yeah.
would be.
That would be annoying.
Yeah.
I find it really annoying, especially if you paid money. If it's free, yeah, give me an ad. We're used to that. It's YouTube. That's what happens.
Yeah.
This is the price I paid for having it free. But when you're paying money, fuck off.
Yeah, that's really annoying. So yeah, I think maybe that would drive people away more. And thanks for the question. RG Sanders asks, "Yo, chaps, what's going on with the logo and the website?"
Funny you should ask, because Mike is actually right now working with Emmy on the logo.
Right now, so
Right
we
now.
are working on it, and this is why Mike isn't here today.
Yeah, we have got some concepts in process with the artwork. We decided to do it ourselves since we have the resources and the capabilities. So the website, it's a bit of a longer plan that, but it is in our minds. But again, priorities.
Paul Dagnall asks, "Hey lads, my question is, can you tell us what your first gaming industry job was? Thanks lads, and congrats to Phil."
This is a weird question, because this question comes from a place of this guy might assume that we've been in the industry for years, that we've held positions as games journalists or been presenters or something. This is the first job I started this as a bit of a hobby, making videos on YouTube, and it turned into this, and like gaming videos on YouTube was just an afterthought, a side thought. What this has turned into is something quite incredible. For people to be thinking that we
That's
are
what I mean,
professional,
yeah.
it is quite incredible to think that, because
None of us.
this isn't really game journalism. This is just us talking shit about games that like we normally would do around a kitchen table or something with our mates.
None of us have worked in the games industry before.
That's it. We don't have any experience. We're just making this shit up as we go along, and apparently a lot of you guys like it and think that we're pretty good at it because they think we're professionals. So we're doing something right, aren't we?
So that's my favourite question this week, because I was like, what the hell? This is a conversation that's kind of been going around the office this week, so I'm happy to ask this one. Edwin says, "Are any of you three looking forward to Destiny 2 and Fortnite?" I know I am. Mike's looking forward to Destiny 2. Let's put it that way. Fortnite, we've been talking about in the office a little bit this morning. Liam, you were just literally saying before this podcast, I'm not paying £35 for a free-to-play game.
No, not for early access to a game. It's going to be free to play in a couple of months'
This
time.
is a weird one. This is a very weird one, Fortnite. I've never seen this before, where it's early access, but you get to pay for it, but then it's going to come out for free. When's it coming out for free?
It's like February 2018.
Yeah, February.
So it's not even that far away.
So you get early access for 8 months or something, 6 months, and
you're paying for the privilege.
You're paying £35 to help them out in early access, but then when it comes out, it's going to be free. That's weird as fuck. What the fuck are they doing? I mean, I can understand if it's, if you look at it from a mentality of you're getting early access to play this game, you're getting the privilege of playing it early. Whereas, like, if you think about our patrons, for example, they get the podcast early, and they support us in return. So maybe it's that kind of thing where they see it as you're supporting their early access and getting the privilege of playing playing it early. Maybe it's kind of like that, and I kind of understand, kind of.
Yeah, I can see that. But on the other side, like the early access game, they're fixing it and implementing bugs based on the players' feedback. So it's like you're paying for the privilege of playing their game in a broken state to help the people out who are going to be playing it later on. And what are you getting as thanks? Well, nothing, unless you want to pay £80 for the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
It's still microtransaction heavy. It's still like you're not getting like immunity from that. You're still going to be milked even though you paid £35, and
that stinks.
That's not good. Destiny,
and the fact we asked for a copy of it, and they said, well, what did they say?
They said basically like we're not giving out copies because we've already given out copies to some influencers, and they didn't deem us as worthy influencers. And then they told me to buy the game and then get back to them with what I thought of the game because they'd love to hear what I thought. And then they told me to not be a stranger. Fuck off, right?
Yeah,
so
that soured our relationship with Fortnite on itself.
It's not like just like I asked for a game, they said no, so I'm going mad. The fact that they said buy the game and then get back to me.
This is where we prove that we're just not gaming journalists, where we get like arsey about this kind of shit. It's like they said what?
Yeah.
Fuck those guys. Like you don't see IGN doing that.
And Activision didn't give us Destiny 2 beta codes. So speaking of Destiny 2, Mike's really looking forward to it. I played the beta. I wasn't that happy with it. There's a whole video about this. It came out on Friday of me and Mike discussing it, and I'm kind of swaying more like everyone else. They took stuff out of the game rather than put it in. You guys, as far as I'm aware, haven't played the beta. Liam, you downloaded it but didn't play it?
I played a little bit. And it was alright. It's Destiny, isn't it? That's all I felt.
It's one of these.
Yeah, I didn't feel any feeling either way.
I have no interest in playing Destiny.
Yeah.
When it comes out on PC, I might look at it, but no, I'm not into shooters with my controller.
Thanks, Edwin.
You know how I feel about that.
We know. Stephen Buford Jones says, now the competition is over, what do you guys actually drink? That's a good question, Stephen. Regarding the EGX.
Yeah. What are your alcoholic beverages of choice? Do you want to go first, Liam?
Yeah. If it's just like easygoing night, fan of the old like fruit cider, like Copperberg or Bulmers, something like that. If I'm going a bit more like heavier side, I like rum, whiskey, that sort of stuff.
Proper man's drink that rum.
And if I want to be fancy, go like cocktails. I'm quite a big fan of the Dark and Stormy, which for those who don't know is rum, ginger beer, and some lime, and it's really damn good.
The Dark and Stormy.
That even sounds manly.
Liam trivia for you there.
What about you, Gaz?
I know you just. There's one drink that is like above all else is just the best, and I don't think you can beat it. I would say the best drink is just water. I'm joking, obviously, but I don't drink anymore.
You really built that up, then.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think I did an alright job, but yeah, I don't drink anymore. Don't find it that I don't know. It's just a personal choice, I guess. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I kind of do, but I don't go out and drink with the guys, whatever. But anyway, back to when I did drink. My favourite tipples was Jameson's whiskey. Love Jameson's Irish whiskey, beautiful. Copperberg fruit cider. If I was going, I don't like beer; it's too gassy. Copperberg fruit cider was my take it easy kind of drink. And if I'm getting supercharged, it would be Jaeger Bomb.
Supercharged, I like that too. Jaeger Bomb, the classics.
Jaegers, man.
I like cask like ale. I like cider. Like if it's not gonna rot my liver when I'm drinking it, it's not flat cider made by some like odd Cornish dude. I don't want to know. Like I like scrumpy. And then I guess, but really you can't get that many places, so I'll buy that in at home. And then if I'm out, I just drink Stella or
Wife Peter.
Wife Peter, because you know me. My girlfriend would fucking leather me. Stella or Budweiser, really. And I used to work in a bar, and we couldn't take tips. Our manager wouldn't let us take tips in money because we weren't allowed money on us. We could only take drinks. So if a guy said get one for yourself. And in my time working there, I drank so much that I can't drink shorts at all. Like I can't drink any spirits because my body rejects it. It's like poison. Really? I can't even have a shot of vodka because I drank so much. And I used to work in a bar, pretty bad really. But now I'll just have like Yeah, like Stella and Scyther, but no shorts under any circumstances because it's just.
It's going to be interesting when we go to EGX and.
Don't you want to test that out, don't you?
Do you fancy a Jaeger?
Yeah, watch what happens. So thanks, Stephen. And Mike, by the way, I know at home he's a fan of the old Budweiser. He likes a good old Continental beer, doesn't he? Like Heineken and that as well. He's not too averse to a cask ale as well. If I remember, he's a lager man. Yeah, so thanks. Tom Stone asks, what do you guys think about Blizzard adding the ability to convert World of Warcraft gold into real life money to be used on their store? So, for example, Destiny 2 can be bought by doing this. And do you think that more companies should do a similar sort of thing? Because they don't, as long as they don't take the piss with it, EA, says Tom. So maybe like the idea of turning your PlayStation trophies into currency or your gamer score. Maybe you could spend 10,000 gamer score on a game or something like that. I always quite like the idea of that. Like Steam have got like, what are you, like the badges or whatever.
Yeah, you can sell the trading cards.
You can sell the
actual Steam currency.
Yeah, there we go. Right, so like stuff like that. I think it's a cool thing.
It's an interesting idea, being able to earn money in game and transferring that into the real world, or to buying real world products with currency in game. Like I know EVE Online did that, where you could buy plexes, which were the game extension codes. I think on free to play. I don't know if EVE had, but I know you definitely could find benefit of, like, you could work in game and earn yourself another free month with the currency. And I like that idea. I like pulling, getting a reward for your hard work.
Yeah, it's like loyalty points, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, like in Starbucks or McDonald's or any other huge globalized chain, they want your loyalty more than anything, don't they? So you'll get like the stickers, like get 5 coffees, you get a 6th one free. Why not stuff like that? Buy 5 games by Activision, get 1 free. Like loyalty point, loyalty. If they want your loyalty, games as a service and all that, they should start doing that, in my opinion. Liam, anything?
Nothing else over to that, but it'd be interesting to see like what the exchange rate on that would be. Like
exactly how much currency.
Yeah, because Blizzard would decide that. So like, how many gold coins is that? Like, is like $10 $1? But clearly not, because that's not a lot in World of Warcraft. Yeah. So is it like 100,000 gold coins? It's like $1.
Bit of a jump there.
Yeah, I know. It's like it'd be interesting to see how they do that.
They would dictate it. So yeah, it's more power for them. They'll catch on to it.
They do have to be careful as well. I mean, they don't want to allow people to cash out and actually get real world money. Obviously, you spend it on products, which is they
want to keep it in their ecosystem.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's an interesting question, Tom, and something that people, I think we'll see a bit more of, I reckon. Chris Thompson says, "Hey guys, I was wondering, what are your, for a lack of better term, time waster or go-to games that you play on and off between other games? Ones that you just dip in and out of, I guess. What's the number one choice?
Pac-Man 256 for me on the phone.
Yeah.
Just if I'm like waiting for something, or like say I've gone to the cinema waiting for the movie to start, just sit down, play a few rounds of Pac-Man, because it's an endless maze. It's like getting the highest score.
Yeah.
It's a great time killer game.
Oh, pretty good.
Candy Crush.
Yeah, of both phone games, yeah.
Pretty cool, yeah. Candy Crush, or I mean, a roguelike game like
Kingsway,
Everspace, Kingsway.
Yeah, Binding of Isaac for me. I think I'm always just on that, like all the time. Even if I've got like Sean's making some tea in the kitchen, I'm like just on Binding of Isaac. I must have sank about 1,000 hours of my life into that on my PS4. Genuinely love it.
Left sync.
Yeah, proper. And on a mobile, I like Plants vs Zombies too. That's pretty good. But yeah, thanks Chris for the question. Only 2 left. Niels Broadcast. Let's try that. Do you know the game Hollow Knight? And if one of you guys played it, what do you think of it? Well, Liam.
Yeah.
You got something to say?
I finished it. It was really good. Really damn good.
It's proper nice. I haven't finished it yet.
Such a good game.
But I love it. I love how it looks. I love how it plays. I love that it's cheap. I loved it. It's incredible. I fucking love this game. I can't wait to finish it. I'm taking my time with it though, because I know that I'm going to be like, when it's done, it's done. I actually, saying that, I think they've just put out some free DLC for it.
Yeah, like story expansion.
Proper good game, and it's the one that I'm taking my time with the most. I really like this game. I've got some strong feelings towards it, but I'll wait till I've finished it, because you never know, it could be proper shit. I don't think it's going to be, though.
It's not. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
And this is a question that maybe has been asked before, kind of, but I've just let this in because I can't remember it. Vinny Bartels. So, the Castlevania series on Netflix became the first video game to TV or film adaptation to get a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The Witcher has, of course, been announced. What game would you want to see get a Netflix treatment of a 10-episode season? I'd love to see the Deus Ex season of JC Denton's story. So that's interesting. 10 episodes. Can we assume that there's not going to be a season 2? It's just a 10-episode mini-series. 10 hours to tell your story.
Yeah.
What do you think would work?
I want to say BioShock. Tell the story of like the fall of Rapture. Do all the like the lead up to it, like how the gangs started turning on the government and everything.
That's a great answer.
I'd love to see that.
It would look good.
Yeah, the fall of Rapture would be great in as like a 10-episode like limited series.
That is a very, very good answer. Guys, Sean.
A couple of answers. Maybe a Fallout game. It'd be great to explore characters in a Fallout universe in a Netflix game. That would be pretty cool. Like where you could take that. There's a lot of possibilities. My other option would be maybe Uncharted. The fact that I've played Uncharted and I didn't really get into the story. I would like to know more about the story. No, I've missed a lot of story there with Uncharted, and I want to experience that. But what I experienced from playing Uncharted 4 was a lot of climbing and a lot of shooting and a lot of bullshit, which was repetitive and not really that interesting. I didn't get connected with the character Nathan Drake. I would like to see his story. In a 10 episode.
Oh, they're working on a movie version of it.
Really?
Like a young Nathan Drake. Like
Yeah.
a prequel story.
Yeah, so if it might be in video game hell, but hopefully that'll come out. The Last of Us has also been made into a movie, but that would probably be good for 10 hours. You'd be able to tell a lot of that story.
Yeah.
The film might rush it a bit.
I don't think it's got enough characters for a 10 hours. I mean, it needs to come up with some new characters for Last of Us 10 episode Netflix.
I don't know. Sorry.
How many times can you be confronted with zombies and then, it's been done a lot of times.
If it did the actual story of the game, just like an adaptation of it with like Bill and like Sam and whatever, then maybe. But if it was a fresh story, they'd have to add more characters.
Yeah.
My answer is actually going to be Silent Hill 2. Like, they need to capture that in a proper way. Like, the films are naff. The first one looked good, but it wasn't that great. So, yeah, I'd love to see Silent Hill 2 in, like, a proper... Tell it properly over 10 hours. Loads of monsters and isolation and weird stuff like that. I reckon that's the adaptation that I want. So, yeah, that's it. And that is it.
Is it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vinny Bartels, thanks for taking us to the very end now with the question.
Thanks, everybody else.
Thanks to everyone else for getting involved. I hope you enjoyed the fact of the week. Video games are good, and Kingsway is also very good. We're going to be back next week. I'm not. I'm setting next one out. So I will not see you next time. Everyone else will. Thanks very much. Jake Lukowski signing off. And with me today, Gareth Evans, Liam McKelvey. We're off. We'll see you later.
See you later.
you don't have to sacrifice taste to stay in the game. Miller Lite, always brewed to have more taste and be less filling. Miller Lite, hold true.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, August 1st, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the birthday girl, Andrea Renee.
Thank you. It is my birthday today.
What's it feel like to be 21?
You know, I've been waiting for the chance to legally buy beer in a bar for a really long time. I mean, I have this amazing fake, you guys.
Sure.
That's been
it's spot on.
That's
it's
been
so
doing
good.
me pretty well. But now that I get to use my real ID, I'm going to make everyone card me all day.
Exactly. Jose Luis Casillas wrote in and said, not a question per se, but praise. I just wanted to say happy birthday to Andrea. She is a unique voice in the game and tech space, without fear to speak her mind, and always with an insightful and interesting point of view. Thankful for the addition to Kinda Funny, and always excited for the future. Happy birthday, Andrea.
Oh, that was very kind. Thank you very much.
What are the plans? What are the big birthday plans?
Well, I celebrated with the girls on our stream last week. They made me a cake and sang and gave me cute little gifts, so that was fun. And then today, my husband is taking me out for a fancy dinner.
Ooh.
He wouldn't tell me where. He just said it's going to be an adventure.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's at like the top of a mountain. You gotta climb up a mountain.
I mean, hey, we'll burn the calories that I'm gonna eat, I guess, so I don't feel guilty about it.
No, don't feel guilty about it. What? So, what did you do last night? What did you play? What have you been up to?
Last night.
Did you get more Fortnite in?
Yes.
Of course you did.
So
Okay.
we went out to dinner. My good friend Ray Carcello from EGM is in town for a preview event at an undisclosed company, and he reached out and was like, "Hey, let's hang out." And I was like, "Ray, you're the best. Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah.
So we had dinner at a Japanese barbecue place.
Ooh, very, very nice. I platinum Patapon.
I saw.
The entire question was just to lead you to the fact that I fucking did it. If you watched the stream yesterday, I struggled so bad. Came home, sat down with the minigame. First one, perfect. Nailed it. They had to do it twice more. Took me another 45 minutes to get it done. Because I'm terrible at that minigame, but it doesn't matter. It's behind me. It's platinum. It's great.
Now you can start Pyre. Why are you so resistant?
It's not that I'm because I'm not excited. Tonight, I was happy it happened because as soon as it happened, I looked in the email and had my Tacoma Xbox One code, and I'm like, Jean-Vive Saint-Onge Miller, are you excited? Can we play Tacoma tomorrow? She's like, yes, 1,000%. I want to watch Tacoma. I'm like, yes. So come home tonight, cook a nice little dinner, play some Tacoma.
Does she say it Miller?
No, I say it because she's French, so she has this accent. So Jean-Vive Saint-Onge, and then you say Miller. It's too American. You know what I mean? You gotta French it up a little
No,
bit.
I like the accent. It's great. I can hear her saying it herself.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Okay, good. As long as it's ringing through. Remember, everybody, Patapon's out today. Get it so we get more Patapon. There's more talk about Patapon coming up. There's also a Patapon iPhone message app out right now. You can get stickers for your iPhones. Why not? Remember, Party Mode is up on patreon.com/kindafunnygames right now for all the subscribers at $1 and more. And over on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, where many of you might be watching this show, our Mario plus Rabbids Let's Play is up. It's me, Big Dog Kevin Coelho, the glue, over there playing some co-op in the game. We like it.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
I've had a lot of fun playing.
Yeah, yum. I'm looking forward to more of it. If you didn't know though, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily each and every weekday on many platforms. We come to you with the nerdy video game news you need to know about. We jump in, give you context, talk about it, answer your questions, read you bad PSN names. You're allowed, of course, to submit your own segments. You can watch us record it live at twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. We don't interact with you though, unless you go to kindafunny.com/you're-wrong, where you keep us honest as we record, and at the end we see what we screwed up. You can listen later though on podcast services around the globe, or watch on youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Regardless of where you consume the content, I'd love you to go subscribe to all the different platforms, help the numbers, get it to more people. We are almost to 1,000 reviews on iTunes. Please help us out. If you're driving the car right now, pull over on the shoulder and just put up an iTunes review. 5 stars, it's great. If you're gonna give it 1 star, just throw your phone out the window and keep driving. Let's begin the show with what is, and forever will be, the Roper Report. Time for some news! That was a good one, Kevin. You got it. I don't know how long. Even Joey Noel came from the other room and pressed.
She walked in just to say
been
that
a long
was
time coming.
impressive.
But there are 6 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Number 1, Andrea, this pertains to your interests and
Yes,
probably
I saw.
most of you. The SNES pre-orders are coming for the little classic thing over on Nintendo's Facebook. They have posted. We appreciate the incredible anticipation that exists for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super NES Classic Edition system. We can confirm that it will be made available for pre-order by various retailers late this month. A significant amount of additional systems will be shipped to stores on launch day and throughout the balance of the calendar year.
Significant amount. What do you think that actually means?
Who the hell knows? There's a reason they're not giving you any numbers, because it's going to be the exact same situation it was with NES Classic, and it's going to be a nightmare for anybody who wants this thing. It's going to be a complete train wreck.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Are you ready to strap in, though? You're all in, right?
Oh, man. Once the pre-orders go live,
Yeah.
if you guys are near a device with the power of the internet and you see the pre-orders go live, please tweet to me.
Yeah.
I would greatly appreciate as much notice as possible.
But get them right away, too.
Oh,
Get
yeah.
as many as you can. Don't do the thing so many of you have done with the Switch, where you're like, oh, I see it in the store in North Dakota, and you walk away. Like, no, buy it and sell it on eBay. You can make a mint on this. Do it.
I mean, yeah, if the resellers are going to do it, like people who do it professionally, you might as well get in on it.
Sure.
It's not
Buy
like...
them, bring them to PAX, sell them there like Girl Scout cookies.
What a great idea. Except they're not going to be out before PAX.
Crap, good point.
They're
What's
gonna
the
be
next
out
show?
on
New York
the end of
Comic-Con.
September.
New York Comic-Con.
That's a good
and
one.
Here's another one for you. At New York Comic-Con, bring empty boxes, fill it with rocks, sell those.
No, don't do
run
that.
Away. Run
Don't-
away. They'll never catch you.
Don't do that. That's
Yeah.
bad.
No. Well,
Be
did you ever
honest.
see that? Did you ever see that one of, like, I think it was PlayStation 3, but it might have been PS4, of this guy who went and returned it at Best Buy and got his money and left, and then they opened it up and it was just a brick. He just put bricks in there. It weighed the same amount, and people were like, "Oh, okay, cool."
That's on Best Buy for not actually
100%.
opening the box.
No, I mean, don't be an asshole either and do this kind of stuff.
Well,
but-
what happened to my friend Alexa Ray was she bought Joy-Cons thinking they were the neon, the blue, and the red Joy-Cons because
Sure.
it was on the box
Oh.
at Target. And then she got home and opened the box and it was the gray Joy-Cons.
Really?
And Target wouldn't let her return it because of it's an electronic item.
That's some bullshit.
Yeah, I was like, Target wouldn't let you return it? Really? Not
Yeah.
even for store credit?
She blew him up on Twitter. That's what you gotta do. You
No,
gotta
she
take your case
didn't
right there.
because she's a kinder person.
Not you and me. You
No,
and me. You
I
demand.
would've
We
bl-
paid for goods and we want them the way we want them.
I would have blown their
Hell
spot
yeah.
up. Yeah.
Jesus. Number 2, speaking of retail, GameStop is going to be open on Thanksgiving. Kotaku broke this story. I'm going to read parts of it here. Here comes a quote from their release, GameStop that is. To better serve our guests and their evolving holiday shopping needs this year, GameStop will open its stores for a shortened and limited time on Thanksgiving Day. Many of our store associates and guests have asked for this. We have heard their requests and are making an adjustment to our previous position on the topic. For context, 3 years ago, GameStop announced plans to close all of its stores on Thanksgiving, telling press the move was, quote, out of respect for company employees and their families. In 2014, the company told Think Progress, quote, at GameStop, we often use the phrase protect the family in reference to our business. A large part of that means to us is to not open any of our GameStops, Simply Max, blah, 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 locations on Thanksgiving Day out of respect for our associates and their families and friends. We believe it's the right decision, not only for our employees, but also for the customers. Enjoy this time with your loved ones, and we'll see you on Black Friday. GameStop remained closed on Thanksgiving 2015 and 2016. This year, the company appears to have a change of heart. Continue on a little bit later in the same Kotaku piece. It's been a rough year for GameStop, which has seen shares tank as the video game industry embraces the digital market. I'm then pulling this from the Wall Street Journal. GameStop's net income decreased from $65.8 million in the year-ago quarter to $59 million. Then Andrea adds in, but GameStop posted an earnings beat on a 3.8% increase in net growth. Back to the Kotaku piece. Thanksgiving lands in the middle of one of the busiest seasons for gaming, as many big publishers race to release their hot fall titles in time for Christmas, which will be the prime sales season for GameStop. Parentheses, the SNES Classic and Switch will no doubt be large parts of the sale drivers as well. Andrea, what's your read on the situation?
So I have a couple of things to say about this. First, I need to be the person to admit that a few years ago, in 2015, when they originally said that they were going to close for Thanksgiving, and that was really the first year that we saw stores open on the actual day of Thanksgiving.
Trying to get ahead of Black Friday.
For Black Friday, right? Like, when I say day, I mean not like midnight. I mean like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
The day of. And I had echoed a lot of other people's sentiments that I don't think it's right that Thanksgiving stores are opening that early on Thanksgiving. I am a long time Black Friday shopper.
Yeah.
I used to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
You seem like someone who would terrify me on Black Friday. I can
mean,
see you out there with your battle
no,
plans.
but my strategy was always to never go for electronics on Black Friday. I always went for clothes because almost every store is 50 to 75% off on Black Friday. So it's easy to repopulate your wardrobe.
Sure.
And it's not as crazy as like trying to buy like a $200 TV or whatever,
yeah.
right? So I've always been a person who shops on Black Friday. But I thought, you know what, like 6 p.m. is too early. You're really cutting the day for people who want to spend a little time with their family. You open at like 10 p.m. or later, then at least people have the bulk of the day. Because after like 7 o'clock, you're all like
you lay on the
meat
couch,
drunk. You're you know, you're food coma. You're not really doing much anyway.
Yeah.
You're just chilling.
Your
so
uncle
like if you want
drinks
to
too
go
much,
make
starts
some
taking
work,
the little
you want to
kids
make some
back
money at
room.
work.
What's going on?
Yeah. So I need to start by saying like I took a public stance that like I didn't like that stores were open on Thanksgiving. Then today. And then today, Patrick Klepper made a tweet about how he thinks it's gross that GameStop is opening. And I got into it a little bit with some people in the thread because as we've seen over the last 2 years, pretty much every retailer is now open on Thanksgiving Day. There's like no stopping it. And Amazon obviously is open all the time too.
24 hours.
And even though you're not physically going into an Amazon store, there are people working at Amazon on Thanksgiving to process your online order.
Sure.
I know a lot of their system is automated, but there are still human beings that work that holiday to accommodate that influx of retail. So my position is I, as somebody who worked in the service industry for a very long time, has worked many holidays in my lifetime. Because when you work in the service industry, it's expected that, hey, people want booze, they want food on holidays. And so you, as the person who's serving them the booze and food, have to work on the holiday. And I actually enjoyed working on holidays because it was some of my biggest money-making days, and it was a great way for me to escape my family if I didn't want to see them. And, you know, make some money, and then I could hang with my family on a different day. So there's a lot of people out there like me that want to work on a holiday.
So you don't, because like here's the thing, I worked retail for a summer at Walmart, and I had a Petland job too. But like, so like 4th of July holiday I worked, and who cares about that? You buy this, then the GameStop thing of many of our store associates and guests have asked for this. Do you think the store associates have asked to be open?
I think it's up for debate what many means.
Sure,
How
great point.
many people are asking for hours, I don't know. But I do know that GameStop incentivizes stores to sell as much as possible, and they get bonuses and rewards for being the top earners in their region. And in order to do that, what better day to make excellent sales numbers than Thanksgiving Day, right before Black Friday, when every other retailer is now open.
Yeah.
So they have to compete with Walmart, with Target, with Best Buy, and of course with online retailers as well. And so if they're closed, if the company is mandating that they be closed on Thanksgiving, then they're automatically taking away a giant portion of sales that now those people are going to go to other retailers and get the deal at Target or Walmart instead of GameStop. So I see it from that side. Do I also see it from the other side that unfortunately some people are now going to be forced to work on a holiday that they didn't want to have to work? Absolutely. And like that's hopefully something that could be avoided depending on, you working out shifts with people at your job. I had to do that sometimes when I was bartending and I needed to get like New Year's Eve off, which is like when you're a bartender, you never get New Year's Eve off to party. You're always working. But if I wanted to party, I had to like kind of barter and be like, oh, well, I'll work Thanksgiving or the night before Thanksgiving and then you can take New Year's Eve for me or whatever. That's just part of that gig. And I want people to know that like I got frustrated with his tweet saying it's gross because it's really not fair to call it gross anymore because everybody's doing it.
See, that's my thing. That's my takeaway from what you're talking about because you're raising a lot of interesting points, and I feel like it's not even if you feel this is a gross decision, right? Because my first reaction is like, ugh. Like, that sucks for those people working at GameStop. Right. I'm not a Black Friday guy. I'm not even a retail shopper for the most part, right? I just do everything online and don't worry about it. It doesn't affect me, whatever, blah, blah. But what you're saying is interesting in the fact that if you think this decision's gross, you need to stop and think about the fact that it's actually the shifting landscape of the business, of retail in general being gross, right? It's not just this decision. It is the fact that if you don't do that, then don't shop at any of those places. Don't shop at all on that night so they get the message kind of thing.
Exactly. I mean, and listen, you're allowed to have your opinions. If you think it's gross, you can think it's gross.
It's the internet. I don't know if you are.
But to think it's gross just because GameStop's doing it, it just rings a little false to me because all of the other retailers are doing it now. There's,
well, it's because what's interesting about it when you brought up Walmart, right? It always makes me think of then when I worked at the Columbia Daily Tribune and I would go out and do this general assignment reporting, one of the stories that I always found really fascinating was these protests in small Missouri towns that I'd go to about them trying to stop the Walmart from coming to town because they knew it would kill their main street and do all this different stuff. And for me, going there, of course, as a journalist, I represents both sides of this story, and I never put my opinion in it. But honestly, I'm a human being. Inside, what I'm thinking of is like, the solution to this problem is simple. Don't shop at Walmart. Shop at the local stores. If you don't take away their business, whatever. And this is a similar situation. Even in not that GameStop is a mom and pop shop or a mom and shop grop shop, is the fact that they could continue with this policy they have, but as they already start to struggle, as they already do start to worry about what happens when this digital future comes in, can they give up that ground? Is this a decision that looks shitty on paper, but in reality is them saying we have to fight, we have to sit there and fight with Amazon and fight with Walmart and fight with Target and the other million places that are selling video games?
Totally. I mean, and I know that I've already been called a corporate apologist on this show in the last 7 days, but I'm not trying to say that they need to do what's best for their shareholders. They need to do what's best for their employees. So if they continue to slide in profitability, that means they have to close stores, which means they have to fire people and take people's livelihood away, which isn't good. You know, there are thousands of tens of thousands of employees that GameStop employs. And so if those employees are going to GameStop and saying, hey, in order for my store, if a GameStop manager says, my store needs to compete, and in order to compete, I need to be open on Thanksgiving to take the business away from the Target that's down the street, then they should be allowed to. I don't see why that's such a crime. I think GameStop should maybe make it elective. I think that would be a nice compromise to say, hey, you as the store owner, or you as like a regional director or whoever, if you guys decide that it's best for your business to be closed, then you can be closed. But if you want to be open, then be open. But I don't know how that kind of a situation would actually work, if that's something that GameStop's capable of doing.
Again, now you go back to being, no, we are a giant corporation.
Right, like I don't know if they want to make sure, like, hey, we don't want to mix the messages. We don't want people to be confused about if GameStop is open or closed.
Yeah.
But I think that in an ideal world, if we could pick a perfect compromise, it would be a nice compromise to be able to let each individual store choose if they were going to be open or not.
100%.
I don't think that that's going to happen.
Quick aside.
Yes.
You do see that, I mean, obviously you know all about the vocal minority and the silent majority. You do see the people who love you, right? That it's not that just...
yes.
Just making sure. Because the Reddit thread's been alive lately with how great you are, and they love that you challenge me, and we not argue, but banter more about things.
No, the Kind of Funny best friends are the best community on the internet. I've said that so far.
So now here's my next question for you.
Yes.
And I want to stay on this GameStop thing a second. You worked with GameStop for quite a while.
Yes, I did.
No longer do.
No longer work with GameStop.
What do you think of GameStop as a company?
I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They've always been incredibly kind to me. We've had a fantastic working experience. Their executive staff was really approachable. And this idea of, this part of the family was something that was echoed a lot when I got to go to large corporate events.
Yeah.
And it really did feel like they were trying to do what was best, not only for the company, but also for the people who work in these stores.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, I didn't work inside of a store.
Sure.
So my experience was different than perhaps, GameStop managers or people who work as associates inside stores. And I've talked to some of them, and it's interesting to me how radically different their experiences can be depending on which region they're in, how big or small their store is, what kind of city that they're in. And so I could not or will not attempt to speak for any of those people. But my experience was always really positive, and they do seem like they're trying to stay connected to the community and really focus on who gamers are and trying to service gamers to the best of their ability.
For me, when we left IGN and started Kind of Funny, I don't think I ever had like this is what I think of GameStop, you know what I mean, kind of mentality about it at all. But I thought of it more as person who doesn't go to the brick and mortar shop, doesn't do this. Every time my old GameStop stories were always like, I go in, they try to sell me some of the strategy guide, they do this, try to convince me to buy it used. I was like, I don't want to do that. Not horrible stories, you know what I mean? There was, back when it was EB, there was this guy in Columbia, Missouri that was a monster that I did boycott.
That was just one guy, though.
I know. Stick with me.
Okay,
I boycotted for like 2 years, and then eventually I ran into somebody who worked there like, oh, that guy got fired a long time ago, you should come back, and they were great. Anyways, we start the own thing, and GameStop reached out, like, hey, do you want to come to the GameStop Managers Expo and host a live stream where people come and the developers come and show their games and stuff? And we said, yeah, and for the record, we did it that year, 2015, 2016, and we're doing it again in 2017. It's up on Instagram, and we promote it. It's a Sunday. Come watch games with us. And going there, I was like, well, it's GameStop. It's this faceless corporation. They're, blah, blah. They make people work and do all these different things. Going there and learning about what the Managers Expo was, talking to those managers, talking to the corporate staff you're talking about, I left and I was like, holy shit, GameStop is actually pretty rad in terms of a person. Like, I can't talk about policies and what they make you do and how quotas work or this thing or we want you to work on all that aside. I was like, the managers I'd run into, because like, if you don't know, the Manager Expo is once a year. Every manager in America, right, gets flown to one place from every store so that they can learn and get told for the next year what games are. Last year we did the live stream, and Tim and I worked the Square Enix room where we gave this presentation and just basically talked to people and said, all right, this is what Hitman is. Let's talk about it, and we joked around and did dumb stuff. But all those managers I met were so engaged. They knew who, not engaged, they engaged in video games. Some knew who we were, and that was cool. They were best friends. People who didn't were just nice and wanted to talk about video games. And then the stories I'd get told of, well, I've been with the company for 12 years, and I used to work in this store, and then my wife got another job, and so I needed to transfer, and they transferred me there, and they promised that they had put me at a lower job, but I'd work up to my old, and I did. And it was like, it was these really weird stories of a company that I think for the most part gets bashed for used games, a weird policy on Thanksgiving. Is a cheap shot, right? Because when you are number one, it's way easier to talk shit about you, and that's what people do.
Totally.
But to get into the floor and actually meet the people who are working in the stores as managers, and then meet the people who are setting up this event and how they genuinely cared about, we want our people to have a good time here and learn and have that camaraderie. I was like, fuck, I feel like that's something that doesn't get reported and does get missed.
Well, because it's easier to paint them as the bad guy. And like you said, like, we don't know the intricacies of their individual policies with how they have to do inventory and retail checks and all that, like, kind of, you know, boring, like, actual work part of the job.
And that's the thing. We're not saying they're perfect. We're not saying they're without fault.
And we can't speak for that, but I can only speak from my personal experience, and it's always been really positive. So like, does this policy, is it unfortunate for some people? Yeah, but it could be great for others. So that was my only point when this story came up, was like, stop and think that maybe some people actually want that opportunity in addition to people who don't. That's all.
It's not black and white.
It's not gross, Patrick.
I love you, Patrick. I like your hair and your streams.
Your hair is pretty excellent.
Number 3 is a quick one. Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 are coming to the Nintendo Switch via IGN. The 2012 and 2015 survival horror games, Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2, are coming to the Nintendo Switch late this year. Capcom has announced that in addition to the re-release of Resident Evil Revelations on Xbox One and PS4 on August 29th, both Revelations and its sequel will also be coming to the Nintendo Switch before the end of 2017. I guess technically I could have put that in the new date section, but it didn't. At the end of the year, it's kind of news. Just suck it. Enjoy it. You got some dates.
Sometimes these are tricky, okay?
Number 4, PlayStation 4 has sold more. GameSpot reports Sony has now shipped 63.3 million PlayStation 4 systems worldwide. The company announced today as part of its latest earnings report for its fiscal first quarter. This is up 60 million for the period ended March 31st. Sony shipped 3.3 million units between April 1st and June 30th. The new figure, 63.3 million, represents units sold to retailers, but not necessarily sales to consumers. The latest actual sales number that Sony provided was 60.4 million, a figure that the company disclosed during E3 good through June 11th. Now, Why Not Pete wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, according to Business Insider, the PlayStation 4 has sold 63 million units worldwide. He goes on with all the numbers we just went through. Then he goes, for reference, the PlayStation 3 sold 2.4 million during its April 1st to June 30th at the same stage of its lifespan, 2010, while lifetime units sold at the time were around 30 million. So what he's comparing is the fact that it's PS3 at this time, lifetime was 30 million.
About half.
Yeah, 63 million right now for PlayStation 4 at this point. And so then he goes, with PlayStation 4 selling so much better than the PS3 did, should we expect another 10-year console life cycle? And what year do you and Andrea think Sony will finally announce the PS5? Thanks for answering my question. Kinda Funny Games Daily has become a must-watch show for me. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Why Not Pete. We appreciate that you like watching the show. So this is an interesting idea. I mean, clearly the PS4 is a better system than the PS3. I can comfortably say that.
Sure. No more cell processor. Nobody wanted it. Get it out of here, Mark. Sorry.
it's an interesting idea talking about the new console life cycle because it's something that we all are, speculating about. With the introduction of these mid-cycle, pro consoles, the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro, does that mean that they're going to continue to milk this console cycle for a full decade, or are they going to introduce something faster? I feel like every new generation that's come out, the technology is moving faster than the generation before it.
Yeah.
I think that we could have a much shorter cycle based purely on what's available from a technological standpoint. But I don't know if they want to go through launching another console and having the developers have to catch up to that again and having their audience split again sooner. I think 10 years is a nice time frame to give people kind of value for the box that they bought and give developers a good amount of time to make maybe 2 or 3 games within a single console's life cycle. But I mean, it couldn't move much faster because of where digital is going.
100%. I think, the interesting thing is the fact that this is such a different console life cycle. What you're talking about, these incremental consoles that are a little bit more powerful. Are we ever going to see a PlayStation 5? Or is it always, from here on out, is it like the iPhone where we get different models and things do or don't work and, it's backwards compatible? It isn't something that effect. I think what's important always to think about because 10-year life cycle was such a, selling point for both like the PSP and the PlayStation 3 was the fact that it's not to say that it was 10 years by itself, right? PlayStation 3 was still going. Its 10-year life cycle included the launch of the PlayStation 4 and things to that effect. So when we'll see another one, I don't know. And what's really weird is how Sony and Microsoft will handle this, and the fact that PlayStation's still selling so well. Mm-hmm. Why complicate the market? Why put something else out there? If I'm PlayStation, clearly somebody's working on a PlayStation 5 right now. They're kicking around and trying to figure out how to make it work, what components go inside of it. Same thing at Xbox. But you're going to sit there and go, well, I'm not going to launch this thing until this thing starts to taper off, until these PlayStation 4 numbers start to be not so astronomical. I mean, like you're saying, half. They're 30 million ahead of where they were this time last generation. That's crazy. There's no reason to get and screw that train up. Not to mention that while they do that, they get to really chart the course for the industry in terms of consoles. Where Xbox sure can come out and be like, all right, we're doing Xbox 2. We're doing a brand new thing. Then are they the Dreamcast now? Are they're again, all right, cool, we're putting this thing out. Your install base has to immediately be off the charts for third parties to come in and make games specifically for that. Otherwise, you're still just getting PlayStation 4 games up-resed. And that's not a selling point for that system. Yeah,
it's, I don't think that we're going to see an announcement for PS5 at least until like 2021. Maybe really? 2020 at the earliest. We'll start getting leaks or rumors. Because if you remember, we started getting PS4 rumors.
Orbis.
Yeah, like so early. Yeah. Like almost 3 years, I think, before we actually got an announcement. So I think it's going to be a while.
It's just fascinating because Xbox being now late to the game, in quotes, a year later, with their pro version, the Xbox One X. What does that do to the Xbox 2? How do they do that? Because Xbox, with all due respect to Microsoft, can't catch up to PlayStation this generation. There's no way in the current thing with their stable.
Not globally, no.
Yeah. I just don't see how you'd ever be able to close that margin, right? Because that was the thing. PlayStation 3, of course, was always getting trounced by the 360. But then through exclusives and price drops, it started gaining steam to the end that I remember at one point, I'm not sure, I think it's still there, where it actually had outsold the 360, but it wasn't a success story because it took forever. It was right. People had already moved on. Nobody was paying attention to it. Now it's the problem of, if you're Xbox, how do you launch a new system? Where do you put these exclusives? How do you convince people to come in and do that? And I think the incremental steps works to Xbox's favor, and the fact that they can come out, have these exclusives that run better on this thing and move that way. But it's a really interesting, it's a completely different ballgame, especially considering I remember in the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era, we're all like, oof, maybe one more year, maybe one more console generation we'll get out of this thing, and then unified system or whatever, Sony will just publish games and blah, blah, blah. We're all fucking idiots. We don't know what we're talking about.
I don't even know how to follow that.
There's nothing to follow. We're all dumb. You shouldn't listen to any of us. Now, here's an interesting one. I said 6 items on the Roper Report. I said that because the original 4 was a bunch of quick hit stories.
Right.
But then you said we should put updates. And the other thing, I was like, that's a good point. I put them down there. But this Crash thing got left. So here's a quick hit that there's not much to discuss about. Crash Bandicoot Remastering. You know that thing's selling really well? The Insane Trilogy, everybody loves it. Over on Xbox Achievements, they have a video from a Crash Remaster UI artist that this guy shared himself that has the game running with Xbox buttons. So is it on PC? Is it on Xbox? Is it all just nothing? Who the hell knows? But it's probably coming, as we all assumed at some point eventually, to something else.
It's an Activision title.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
It's probably not going to stay console exclusive forever.
Exactly.
Especially with how many units it's selling. I'm sure
Activision's like, we need to
knocking
get
on
this
PlayStation's
everywhere.
door being like, excuse me.
Let's speed this exclusivity up. What do you say? Get it out there. Number 5. EA has merged BioWare Montreal with Motive Studios. I'm going to read some of the IGN article here. Quote, the teams in EA Worldwide Studios are packed with talent, and more than ever, we're driving collaboration between the studios on key projects, EA told IGN in a statement. With multiple major projects in development in Montreal, we are merging BioWare Montreal with Motive Studios. This is an ongoing process, but there are many exciting roles and opportunities for everyone on the team, end quote. The merge comes after reports that the Mass Effect series was to be put on hold after an underwhelming release of BioWare Montreal's Mass Effect Andromeda, and that the studio would instead be focusing on BioWare's other titles. Quote, BioWare continues its work on new titles, including the highly anticipated game Anthem. EA's statement continued. What's coming next for BioWare is very exciting, and we're thrilled to have Casey Hudson returning to lead the studios in Edmonton and Austin. Very interesting. How the shakeups that have come in the wake of Andromeda. I wonder how far any of this was planned. If this game would have come out and been successful, does this all look really different? You know what I mean? Is Casey back, or how long has that been in discussions? Where would Aaron be?
Well, I'm sure this isn't just something that happened overnight, right? These kinds of moves are crafted over several months. And, once Battlefront 2 ships, I don't know what Motive is working on next. So it probably makes sense for them to merge those teams so they don't have to, lay people off or let people go. Merge them together and say, hey, you're now like a super team, and here's like a big IP that you're going to work on. Yeah. That's in my mind, like that's like best case scenario.
Sure.
That's why they're doing that, is because both of them have shipped like their major title, and now they're kind of like, hey, we're not really doing DLC anymore for Andromeda. Yeah. So
how about finish
what are we going to do today?
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating to see what comes from that, and also if there would be any layoffs or redundancies from that, because that's always the concern I feel like when you merge studios. But
yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure it's unavoidable, but generally when a major title is done shipping and they've got all their DLC out the door, there's downsizing.
You ramp down staff.
That's pretty regular in the games business. So
100%. And the final story, an incredibly sad one, also from BioWare. Corey Gasper has passed away. This is BioWare's post. It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our friend and colleague, Corey Gasper. He was a member of our team for over 9 years and worked as a designer on many of our titles, including Sonic Chronicles, Dragon Age Origins, Mass Effect 2, Mass Effect 3, and most recently Anthem. Corey was a talented designer and an even better person. We offer our condolences to Corey's family and everyone that knew him. We will miss you. So yeah, of course, Kind of Funny Games Daily and Kind of Funny as a whole, our thoughts and prayers with everybody in BioWare and Corey's family. That's terribly sad. Always horrible when that happens. And it was, one of those. What is crazy about the industry is how big it is, in the fact that I feel like, for as many people as I know, there's so many people I don't know. But then to watch the ripples of this announcement and see like Jeff Keighley tweeting about it, and like people who actually knew Corey and that he touched their lives and stuff, it's always super sad. So as an industry, we grieve together. And so with that, we'll very slyly transition into the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday. It's Tuesday, Andrea. There's a lot of stuff out.
I know.
You ready?
Ready.
You got The Voice in the Void on PC, Aztez on PC, Tacoma on PC. It's up on Steam. Kotaku was trying to tell me it's all out tomorrow. I'm like, nah. It's up on Steam right now. I saw it myself. Soul Frost on PC, Aven Colony on PS4, Castle Storm VR Edition on PSVR, Dino Frontier on PlayStation VR, which I've had forever. I need to turn on because everybody says this is a good one. I haven't done it yet.
Do it.
Demetrios, the big cynical adventure on Xbox One and PS4. You might say, Greg, is that PlayStation Vita adventure text game? It is, and now it's on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Go give it a shot. Draw Fighters on PlayStation 4. Frisky Business coming to PlayStation 4 finally. This is the one I tweeted and talked about with the trophies that are all about like, yay, fuck this girl. And like, there they are. Leisure Suit Larry 2.0 is out for you right now, PlayStation 4. The Long Dark on Xbox One and PS4. Do you know anything about The Long Dark?
I do not.
Everybody's talking about this game all of a sudden. It's like a survival game from what I understand. Gotta check it out. Patapon Remastered on PlayStation 4, which you all should buy, of course. Come on, let's get a new Patapon. You can't get it. If you can do it for Crash, you can do it for Patapon. What do you say? Get out there, just for your old friend Greg Miller. And I get no money from Patapon. I have not. They did talk to me about their trophies before it launched. Didn't share them with me. But I had a call with them where they're like, what do you like in trophies? And they told me it's for Patapon. What do you like?
You have forever said, talk to me about trophies, and then they did.
They listened. They consulted with me. Now, I'm glad they did. But if they would have told me we're going to give you a gold for the 9 divine items, I'd be like, oh, what mini games is that tied to? And they would have been like, oh, it's this fucking drum one with the goddamn blacksmith. I would have been like, you fuckers take that out of the game. I've wasted so many hours getting that, but I got it. Doesn't matter. But yeah, no. Shout out to them. That was I teased it back on PS I Love You. I think that I was talking. Somebody wanted to talk to me about trophies. It was the folks doing the Patapon Remastered. They wanted to talk to me again. I didn't see the list. I didn't play the game ahead of time. It was literally like, what do you like out of a trophy list? What don't you like out of a trophy list? I think this is a pretty solid one, and that's coming from somebody who probably wasted 6 hours trying to get that fucking blacksmith trophy. And
wasted? You tell me you didn't have any fun in those 6 hours?
No, the blacksmith game was not fun. It was also one of those times of like, you know, in the marriage, it was definitely the most stressed out and angry, I think, most angry Jen see me. I've been more stressed out since then. But she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no! And I went in the kitchen, like, banging around pots and pans, cleaning up, all fucking furious to this game.
Amazing.
Shadow Tactics, Blades of the Shogun comes to Xbox One and PS4. Slime Rancher is coming to Xbox One. Dreadnought has an open beta on PS4 today. Have you played Dreadnought at any of the events and everything?
Yes.
What do you think?
I really enjoyed it.
I'm the only person who at an event was playing it with a mouse and keyboard. I'm like, I don't like it.
I played with a controller.
Yeah, this is before they had it. They didn't have controller support at the time.
So the first time I played it was PAX South 2015, and I did not enjoy it then.
Yeah.
But then I played it at a recent preview event a couple of months ago with a PS4 DualShock.
Yeah.
And I had a much better time, not only because the controller was easier for me to navigate, but they've made some really good improvements since I originally saw it, and they have in a co-op mode, which was really fun.
If you're not familiar with Dreadnought, you're flying big spaceships, right? Or big space planes, I guess.
I don't want to call it a hero shooter in space, but it kind of feels like it, but there's no characters. The characters are giant ships.
Everybody always loved it. I'm just like the one person who was like, yeah. So yeah, give it out. It's a beta right now on PS4. And then you put in the Gears of War 4 update. You want to run me through everything that's in it?
Sure. So this was just an email I got from Xbox saying, hey, if you guys are playing Gears of War 4, the August update has quite a bit of stuff in it. So there's 2 new maps. There's Forge Bliss and Canals, and then there's the Summer of Gears event that they're doing with increases your first win of the day credit bonus every day in August. Your first win of the day is worth 500 credits, an increase from the standard 100. So that's that's
cool.
That's quite a bump for August. They're also doing the second season of the Gears Pro Circuit. It's on the way. They're preparing escalation ring placement improvements to Diner, Impact, Lift, and the Slab. They were crafted with the pro players at a recent studio playtest, so that could make for some interesting changes when those tournaments begin. And then they have a couple new events. So they've got the craftable character, which is a blast from the past, the classic Commando Dom, which is awesome. I love Dom. And then they have the monthly Versus and Horde events that are going to continue with a new Horde variant on August 18th and a classic one shot, one kill on Canals on August 25th. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, PUBG is getting a big update as well. There's a ton of things that they changed in there, but the updates that are highlights. They added first-person server options to NA and EU solo and duo game modes. Players who choose first-person mode will be matched together, and you may now honk a car horn when sitting in the driver's seat with left mouse click. I know everybody was really looking forward to that. Meanwhile, Nintendo Switch is getting firmware 3.0.1. This addresses an issue. I guess after the 3.0 update, some of the batteries weren't registering correctly in terms of how much you had. This fixes that, so enjoy that. Meanwhile, new dates. X-Morph Defense is coming to PlayStation 4 August 30th, and Hob is coming to PS4 September 26th. I was hoping maybe it's a Fast and the Furious Hobbs tie-in for The Rock, but it is not. It is not that at all.
Nope.
Andrew, you ready to check in with the readers?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to start in with my dog, Nick96, wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD and says, hi, Greg and Danny. Just kidding. I know it's Andrea. Hi, Andrea. Well played. Are you ready for what might possibly go down as one of the busiest months in video games? This month alone, I have 5 games pre-ordered. That's not counting the ones I completely forgot. Patapon is out today, along with a little game called Frisky Business. Next week, I'm jumping into Lawbreakers and the first episode of Batman: The Enemy Within. The week after, Undertale drops, plus I want to dabble with City Skylines, not to mention Sonic Mania. The 22nd, Uncharted Lost Legacy, and the 29th, Everybody's Golf. The 31st, Life is Strange Before the Storm Episode 1, and I know there's more I'm missing. I know you talk about all the time. I know you talk all the time about how there's no time for all these games, but looking at the release schedule, it's very apparent that that's true this month. My question is, do you think publishers are looking at August as a good sleeper month to release their games, like how January through March is becoming big release? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember that many games releasing this month. Thanks for doing the podcast. Really helps me through the hard days at work. Love and respect, my dog Nick96. August is awesome.
It's been awesome historically. There's been some really great games that have released in August. I don't think it's being overlooked by anybody. I think it's actually a really prime time for some developers who don't necessarily have a franchise with expected launch windows.
Yeah.
Like we always know like Call of Duty is like the first Tuesday of November. We always know Assassin's Creed comes at the end of October. And so if they have a game like Lawbreakers, for example, which, you know, comes from a studio with team members that have, you know, a history in the games business, but they've never really released a game before, it's a good time for them to say, hey, we know that you have a lot of other games to play, so we want to get out in front of that and release in August. I think it's great. This is a great list of games that he's put out.
That's the problem, is that there's too many great games. The Gamescast is up right now on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames with Peter Brown from GameSpot. The topic of the show was all the games you want to play this year, and I laid them out. And the overwhelming majority for me are in August. Now, granted, I think it's just because dates are coming up, like indies start announcing stuff out there or whatever. But like for me, it was Patapon, Tacoma, Batman, Cities, Sonic Mania, Undertale, Uncharted, Thimbleweed Park, Madden, Everybody's Golf, and then Mario plus Rabbids at the very end, and then Life is Strange again at the very end.
The good news is that the vast majority of the games you just listed are short experiences under 5 hours.
Yeah.
Right, so you could hypothetically knock them out.
I hope
quickly.
to. Yeah, that's the thing, because you figure like Uncharted, it'll be 10 hours.
That'll
or whatever.
be the longest one.
But then you got to
probably.
platinum it. You got to go through City Skylines never ends. Madden never ends. I just want to do that long shot mode really badly. And Everybody's Golf, come on. That game never ends too.
Yeah,
Andrew,
but
there's too much great stuff.
You can do it though. I believe in you.
Thank you. I'm glad. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, the interesting thing about all those, with notable exceptions, obviously, of like Madden, and then I would even say, Uncharted and Madden for sure. I would put Batman, since Telltale's like episodic and goes out. I think it is a place of like, all right, cool. Here are all these weird games, niche games, these things that are going to appeal to an audience, but not necessarily the giant swath of people. You don't have to worry about the fall, Black Friday kind of stuff like you're talking about with Call of Duty or Battlefront and all these different things out there.
Right.
So yeah, I think you said it's been happening for a while, and I think this year there's just such a great quality of game. I think this is the best year of gaming probably ever, 2017, in terms of releases. The spring was so overloaded. This summer's been awesome, and the fall looks great too.
Yeah, the Game of the Year contenders are
It's gonna be really interesting.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, of course it's Patapon. It's back, you know what I mean?
It's a remaster. That doesn't count.
Yeah, it does. Whatever. It's on PlayStation 4 and 4K visuals, I guess. I was like all stoked to talk about Patapon on the Gamescast, and Peter Brown's first question was like, "Oh, cool. How's it look on the Pro in 4K?" I'm like, it looks like Patapon. I don't know. I don't even have a Pro or a 4K TV. I don't know. It looks fine. Played it here. It looks fine.
You don't have a Pro?
No.
Really?
Yeah, no. Why? I love my PS4s. Like,
no, it's great, but once you have a Pro and you see how snappy the menus are, and then you go back to a regular one, like it's a noticeable difference.
Yeah, I know. The one we have here over there that we use for streams and stuff is a Pro, and so I think really when I jumping through menus, the way it loads trophies faster and extra information faster, but it's just like,
No,
I don't want to be wasteful. I'm like, when one of these PS4s dies, I'm going to buy a Pro.
One of my positions has been, and I maintain, that you don't need a PS4 Pro. But as a diehard PlayStation fanboy, I just assumed.
Everybody does, and that's my thing. And this was my problem with how they marketed this fucking thing, is the fact that you couldn't sell it to Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty. All they had to say was that the menus are way faster and it's got better Wi-Fi. And I think we both would have been like, oh, okay, great, I'm in. But instead they're like, it's 4K and HDR. And I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck that means. I don't even have that TV. The games look fine. I'm fine. Lucas says at kindoffunny.com/KFGD, Greg and Tim. Now they're just doing it on purpose. Now they're just trolling you.
That's true.
Do you think that Patapon 2 and 3 will eventually be remastered? And if so, how soon? I do not think they will be remastered at all. I think if they were going to do that, they would have done it here. I think if
done
anything,
like a pack like Crash.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think if anything, this was a cool way to shut people like me up, and then also to see like, well, do people still care about Patapon? Is that a thing? So if you all go buy Patapon, maybe we get Patapon 4, and it'd be rad. Because Patapon 3 was awesome. Patapon 2 was good as well. They got they got better. They got better and better as they went. But I remember Patapon 2 was a lot of grinding. So just, I'm happy they didn't, because then it would have taken me forever to platinum that one. But I would have done it because I have to do it. I love these little eyeballs. I love them so much. We had a lot of. I almost gave a shout out on Twitter for this, but got distracted. So I'll do it to you real quick. Heads up. Today, August 1st, the best day we've ever had for questions at kindafunny.com/KFGD. You guys killed it. Like every one, I was like, damn, this could be like topic of the show for a different. This is great. Here we go. Jeremiah Jux writes in and says, "Good morning, Cool Greg and Kev Dog." They're the hosts of Kinda Funny today, right? Ha ha. He's making fun of it. Everybody's just trolling now.
Yeah.
You're not here tomorrow. Tim's here tomorrow.
Correct. I'm not here tomorrow.
All right, good. Everybody right for Tim tomorrow. In any case, it's only been a week, and yet the Pyre conversation seems to be quieting down. I refuse to allow this game to be so easily overlooked. Supergiant has put out 3 amazing games, and yet they're still not getting the correct slice of the pie they deserve to be receiving, in my opinion. The same can be said for Tacoma, like you mentioned yesterday. The buzz does not feel as explosive or instant as it did with Gone Home. Again, Gone Home's buzz was not instant. That built and built.
They both came out today.
Yeah. Wait, no, Pyre came out last week.
Did it?
Yeah.
I thought it was out. Okay, regardless, it's only been a week.
Sure.
And Tacoma isn't out on Xbox One yet. It releases what, tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow on Xbox One. I'll be playing tonight.
Just give it some
Give you
time.
impressions tomorrow. But there's a slow burn involved with the spread of these games. My question is, does the term indie game still hold these games back despite their precedence? In other words, how has the reputation of independent games progressed thus far? Is it still more or less the same, or are they on another level now in terms of their reputation? Thanks for the show. It's friggin' awesome, Jeremiah Jux.
That's an interesting question. Here's what I'll say. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds was technically considered an indie game when it first launched.
Yeah.
And I don't think that held that game back.
Yeah.
There's been several success stories from indie games, and I don't think we're in an era now anymore where that moniker indie games is something that's going to hold it back. I think what the gameplay is, who the studio is, who the creators are behind the game could potentially hold the game back if people don't know who these people are. Luckily for Fulbright, they had a successful game before.
Yep.
Luckily for Supergiant, they also had two successful games
Yeah.
before. So I don't think that because they are still deemed indie, that's holding them back. They just, as we mentioned, I think yesterday, they're just confusing concepts to explain to people.
I think that's the biggest issue is the concept of the games, and then, but does the term indie hold people back? I don't think it has. Yes, the reputation for the independent game moniker has progressed leaps and bounds. Because I remember being at IGN, right, and like in 2008 or 9 when you're playing XBLA games or PSN games and having those conversations. Man, it's really good for a downloadable game. You know what I mean? What's a downloadable game of the year? And that was a big deal when that finally went away, and it wasn't downloadable game of the year anymore. Journey is in running for game of the year. That's part of it. Indie game, I think now, and it's different for every person, and it's more of a nebulous thing. Indie game gives you a sense, I think, of what kind of, not quality you're getting, but maybe even length, maybe even visuals. You know that it's not Call of Duty. You know it's not AAA. You know that you understand when you say indie game what it is. And I think you also understand to an extent the reach it most likely will have. PUBG, completely something different, of course, in terms of its reach, how it's broken out and gone all these different places. But like Pyre, I always, use my best friend back home, Poe, who's a professor. He's a professor at a college now. He has a kid. He still plays PlayStation, but like, Poe will never know about Pyre because he's not reading IGN. He's not watching our content. He enjoys video games, but he's a guy who's like going to Walmart to pick up that game off the shelf that he really likes. I think he's very much part of that subsection of games, or I guess the mainstream gamer, console gamer, right? Who's like, see stuff on TV as an ad. He's like, oh, Uncharted looks really interesting. That's how I think he gets his video game news and stuff, and then he looks into it that way. Assassin's Creed he buys every year because he loves that. He's, hardcore at those games, loves playing them, puts lots of hours in, but he's not on the PSN. He's not on the PlayStation blog reading about these things. And I feel like that's what, to me, an independent game is, of like, okay, cool, you're going to hear about this in a montage somewhere at E3, but does it escape? Does it go further than us, the people who, and I'm pointing at the camera if you're listening at home, us, the people who live and breathe this stuff and want to know everything, and know when you hear Greg Kasavin, Supergiant, and Transition, you remember him at GameSpot, and like, that kind of fan of video games is who is really into indie games. I think. Yeah.
No, you're totally
And that's
right.
where, you know, the argument for like discoverability on the PlayStation Network comes in, and curation on Xbox and all these different things of like, how can you make it other than Poe texting me about like, hey, what's cool? Or me sending him a code for a game, be like, you need to play this. How do you get that out when it's not Batman, right? Like Batman, the Telltale series, he knows about because he sees Batman as an ad or something or whatever. And he's like, oh shit. And they run Batman ads for stuff too.
Right.
That's what I say. Eric Myers wrote into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, hey, Greg and Andrea. What's been going on with WB Montreal? It's been 4 years since Batman Arkham Origins, and while there's been plenty of rumors of what they have been working on, it's concerning that we have nothing about their next game. I only ask because I felt Arkham Origins was excellent and don't want to see anything bad happen to this talented studio. Thanks for your time, Eric. First off, Eric, you're 100% right about Arkham Origins. It was a great game. It's the whole problem with Arkham Origins, as I've said repeatedly, but maybe you're a new listener, is the fact that if you would have released that game and been able to hide who made it, people would have been like, oh, the combat feels a little bit different, but whatever, it's fun. But the fact that everybody's like, it's not Rocksteady, fuck this game, that game was great. They don't get enough credit for it. That Deathstroke boss battle was the best fucking boss battle of any of the Arkham games. Fight me. And then they should have put it on the goddamn collection, but they didn't. No one knows what the fuck they're doing at WB Montreal. The fact that the studio hasn't been closed, and I think we might have heard about some people, not layoffs, but some people leaving. I know like Eric Holmes, I believe, the guy who was helming up Arkham Origins, he'd left. I think they're still working on something. The rumors I'd always heard was things were getting canceled or changed or whatever. Because there's always that leaked Superman screenshot that had come out forever ago and like things. Was that them working on it? Who the hell knows? I know I'd heard rumors, and it's been published before, about Suicide Squad game up there or a Justice League game up there or something to that effect. Are they working on those? Who the fuck knows? The hope would be for me is that they are working on something like that. They are continuing to work in the DC universe, and they're getting it right rather than do the old school method of, fuck, there's a movie, put out the game. Like, you know what I mean? Let's put out a piece of trash. This Suicide Squad game's not working. Fuck it, there's a movie, put it out.
Well, luckily Warner Brothers doesn't have that licensing problem that some other publishers have. And
Old Marvel had, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. We don't have to worry about them like rushing something out the door just to maintain a licensing agreement. You know, I don't know. I would have thought that maybe this would have been the year that they announced something at E3 because Warner Brothers' slate is a little light since Injustice 2 is already out the gate. You know, and they're
banging so much on Shadow War.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, but that's just one title.
I
know.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, obviously they have Lego as well, but
sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll announce it at Gamescom.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to see them do something like that. I'd love to know what they're working on. I really hope it's a DC Superman somehow game. But
Should we just like cold email them and be like,
sure, what are you guys doing?
Hey, WB, we got asked. What are you guys working on?
Oh, well, thank you. No one's asked. Here you go. Top 5 Bananas wrote in and said, Dear Greg and Andrea, I recently played through The Last of Us for the first time. As I have no gamer friends to discuss games with, it never crossed my mind that, okay, this is the spoiler from yesterday's episode, so I won't say it. Never crossed my mind what you guys discussed at the end of the thing there. Your discussion yesterday blew me away. I absolutely loved it and would love to see more book club style discussions on narrative-driven games in the future. Thank you and keep up the amazing work. Well, thank you, Top 5 Bananas. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you chart the course for the show. Right into kindafunny.com/KFGD. You're always welcome to suggest new things. That was, I thought, a good one of like, let's discuss this ending of a older game. Like, all right, cool. We're always down for that. Go ahead and write in with stuff. Don't do Pyre because I haven't beaten it.
Just not that game.
If you want to talk about the ending of Patapon, I can write you a novel. All right, let me tell you right now. It's just, why was that it? It didn't make any sense. You know, they didn't need to worry about it. You, of course, remember the ending of Patapon. We all got there. It was just like, what are we doing? I don't know why we're doing it. Yeater Von Skeeter Jr., a good fucking name, wrote into kindafunny.com/KFGD and says, my question revolves around the overt sexualization of women in games. I didn't play Nier this year because I just felt like there was something wrong about staring at an ass the entire time while playing the game. I have no judgment for people who played this game or judgment against asses. Everyone knows the Kinda Funny slogan, we eat ass. Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for bringing that up, Peter. I just would like to know the opinion, I just would like to know the opinion of this from you two, and if the feminist inside me should or should not have a problem with this. Sincerely, the Skeet family. Parentheses. Oh, and please, for the love of God, don't make me sound like an asshole, Greg. Pun intended. Yeah, Nier is still on my list to play.
Same.
I've seen the screenshots forever, and now I see the cosplay everywhere. And there is a lot of booty going on with this. it's an interesting thing, I think, and you can correct me if I want your opinion, obviously. I think it's gotten better in terms of the overt sexualization of women in the games, where it used to be just everybody looks like Cammy. You're like, okay, that's fine. There'd always be the jokes about like the, guy in Skyrim anchored down with all this armor, and then the woman just with like, chainmail on or something. It seems better. I think that's the thing about games, right? I always talk about this and the fact that I love that video games have matured with me. I feel like as somebody who started with, 8-bit era and NES and Sega Master System, what up? As I've grown up, I feel like games have grown up. Now, granted, every day, every younger people come in and older people come in too, but younger people come in and have different perceptions and want different things out of games. But the fact that we are getting a all-female Uncharted here in a couple weeks, right? That looks awesome, I think. And the fact that I think Chloe and Nadine are such great characters and fleshed out. The fact that we have games like Life is Strange, Gone Home, all these different things that it's definitely light years ahead of where it was of when it was that I was playing girls who were just in bikinis doing this different stuff. But it is an ongoing struggle.
Yeah, it's obviously something that the development community is addressing now, which is great. There's more dialogue about it, which more conversations and more discussions are what we need to address issues like this. Do I think it's a case of a character being unnecessarily sexualized? I don't think so. The difference between a female who's considered like a sexual object in a game versus a female who's sexualized with agency is a very difficult line to draw sometimes. And it's worth discussing and noting that a lot of even, really hardcore feminists who are also gamers like the idea of women owning their sexuality. It's kind of like this idea that I can be sexy because I want to be sexy and I own my sexiness and I'm allowed to have thoughts about sex and have sex as a woman the same way that a man can do the same. And it's a really convoluted conversation to have in our community, and I say our, I mean the gaming community, because people jump to conclusions and they mince words and they get the argument all jumbled up, and
let's boil the argument down to 140 characters and put it out, and there you go, right? This isn't black and white. We paint in broad strokes. I don't know the motivation of why the Nier character is dressed the way she is.
Right, exactly. And so I think, when you talk about women who get offended by the representations of women in specific video games, it's because they want women in games to be able to own their sexuality. Does Princess Peach own her sexuality? No, right? She's a damsel. But are there women like Bayonetta who own their sexuality? Yes, there are. Yeah. So, I think that you have to kind of take it on a case-by-case basis and go, let's look at what some of the bad representations are. And also let's look at what some of the good representations are and say, hey, these are some things that we can learn from, and this is how we can do better. And these are some of the people who are doing an excellent job with it. And it's just it's a tough conversation to have because everybody's worldview of what sexuality is and what it means to you is wildly different. Some people are okay with nudity and other people are not okay with nudity. Some people are okay with violence, others are not. And so the sliding scale has so much gray area in between it. It's hard to have a productive conversation about, what is considered a female who is sexualized and what is not. But I think the most important word that people need to remember when talking about an issue like this is agency. Does the character control what's happening to her? Is she in charge of it? Did she choose what she's wearing? Is she wearing it because it empowers her and her narrative in a specific way? Sure. And I think those are some things to look at and examine if you're going to go down that road of discussion.
And I think, oh man, I was hoping I could turn it back just in time to get his name. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. How could I forget Yeater von Skeeter Jr.? I think so. He's like, is it wrong that I feel this way? You feel however you need to feel. My thing about the Nier character in particular, somebody who hasn't played the game but knows that I need to play the game because everybody talks about the game, is the fact that everyone talks about that game. All the people I respect and I agree with on games or have similar tastes, I should say, with on games, all say I should play it, and none of them who would be people are like, hey, this game's great to play. Also, kind of fucked up that no one's saying that. That's not the narrative I'm getting based on it. So if it isn't visually attractive to you and you don't want to play it, fine, but I also don't know if that's a real narrative behind it.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate thing that you hit. If it bothers you, if you don't like the way that they've styled the character, you don't like her art, then you don't have to play this game.
Right.
I think if there was a character like some of the female characters in Duke Nukem, for example, that we could all agree are sexually objectified in a very
Sure.
specific way. I think that's a different kind of example. And it's tough because when you're talking about art, video games as art,
Yep.
it gets really in the weeds with what things mean and what characters' motivations are and why they're styled the way they are. And it's tough. I mean, look at the uproar around Tracer's butt, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that was like a huge deal. And I made a joke about it because people online, some people got really mad about it. And then Blizzard was like, this is just the way we wanted to do it. And then people were like, let Blizzard do what they want. And then when they said, oh, by the way, she's also gay, people were like, how dare you?
You can't do that.
And it's just like, oh my gosh.
It ruins my fan fiction.
Everyone just needs to calm down just a
Yeah.
little bit about it.
And she's allowed to have a nice butt.
She is. And there's nothing wrong with butts.
100%.
Butts are fine.
We like butts. Kind of funny. We eat ass. Time to squad up. This is where one of you writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD and you give me your username and platform or whatever you're playing for, and then you explain why you need friends. I read your name and platform here. Then the other best friends hit you up. You guys become friends. You all play games together, and everybody has a great day. Today, Caitlin writes in. She needs help on PlayStation 4. Her PSN name is ROWX3 Your Boat. ROWEX 3 the number Your Boat. I just bought Friday the 13th on PlayStation 4, and I could really use some new friends to help show me the ropes. I'm also always looking for new friends to play Overwatch and Killing Floor 2 with. That's ROWX Your Boat. ROWEX 3 Your Boat. Row times 3. Row your boat. Row your. Now I get it. You gotta think. These PSN names you gotta think about. Pretty clever. Andrea?
Yes, Greg.
What did we get wrong in this show? Of course, this is where you go to kindafunny.com/you're-wrong. Tell us what fact we got wrong while we did this. No motherfucking editorializing. Don't pimp your podcast. Don't put your YouTube videos in there.
I don't know if this is a you're wrong kind of a thing, but somebody's talking about how a game is broken for them.
No, that's
and
not
by a
you're
game,
wrong
I
at
mean a
all.
Patapon game.
Well, now I need to hear about it. What's wrong?
Patapon Remastered is broken for me, and yes, my TV is on game mode. I feel I need to draw attention to the problems with Patapon Remastered so that people are not misled by Greg's praise. As it's my favorite game, I know how it should play, but the game was utterly unplayable because of input lag, as a few European reviews have mentioned. Feel let down by Sony that I wasted £10 on this. It must be British, and I'm asking for a refund.
As I think I mentioned on some show recently, yeah, I saw somebody screen capped the Metacritic yesterday morning that had like IGN Italia on there and some other site, and the reviews were red, so they were like super low, and they were saying that like unplayable, something's wrong. I don't know what that is. My PlayStation 4 regular and my Sharp TV and this TV, I guess too, and a PlayStation 4 Pro, I have not had those issues, and I've platinumed the game now, and me sucking at the blacksmith game had nothing to do with that. It was just me not understanding the game. So I'm sorry that happened. Yeah, I have heard about that, but it's this and then 2 reviews, so I don't know. Maybe it's an international thing.
Glitches happen. When we talked with Giant Sparrow, I mentioned a section that I had trouble with, and he was like, wow, you stumbled upon a glitch that only 1 in 100 people were able to do. And we were never able to recreate, and so our devs were never able to make a patch because we couldn't recreate it.
Oh, wow.
So, like, sometimes that stuff is really unfortunate, and it happens.
And the problem is there's so many variables. This happened to us with the Housemarque games all the time, and then with Tetris Ultimate, where because I had the max friends on PS3 back in the day with Dead Nation, and then the re-release of Dead Nation on PlayStation 4, I had the 2,000 friends and things. When it would ping the server to try to get like stats to compare to it would crash the game. And it was one of those, I was like putting up videos on IGN being like, this is broken. And they were hitting me up like, you're the only human being we've seen. We don't know what's happening. And finally, that's what we traced it back to. And it's like, I don't know, maybe that PlayStation has something else that's done this, that's done this. Maybe it's just the international version, or the, PAL version of it has something. I don't know. Works for me in America, the best country in the world. Right, Cool Greg? That's right. That's right. Thank you very much.
The next one, the new Switch update does not fully address the battery issue, but they do offer a ridiculous workaround process listed here. And so I'm not going to go through this entire process because it's quite long, 7 steps, but it's on Polygon.com. So if you guys are having battery issues, still after the update, there is a step-by-step process that does look like a giant pain in the ass. So hopefully,
Nintendo!
Hopefully that's not your situation. according to a WB Montreal jobs posting, they are working on a AAA DC game, which I think we discussed. So they're seeking a senior systemic gameplay programmer to work on an open world AAA title based on one of the DC Universe's most popular IPs.
Hell yeah. Getting that Plastic Man game.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Andrew's reading to make sure they're really
Yes,
wrong, 'cause
so
you guys, like,
this
just
one
love
is-
to editorialize. Just love it so goddamn much.
Dear Greg, hey Greg and Andrew, I just wanted to let you know that the reason that 2B from Nier looks that way is on this site, and it says apparently quotes, but the biggest reason is that I just really like girls. So I'll need to look at what this link is.
Okay.
Oh, so it's Yoko Taro on why Nier Automata protagonist wears high heels. Quote, I just really like girls. So
Okay.
I guess that's the simplest answer. He
It
just
sounds
likes
like he
girls.
just really likes high heels.
I mean, I like high heels too, but you can't fight really in high heels. You can't run really. But I mean, it's a fantasy world.
I was gonna
if
say,
I could
Jurassic
wear,
World would argue
if
different.
I could wear like bitchin' high heels and run and kick ass and
Sure.
fight, I would do it.
All right, cool.
But I can't.
And you like girls then?
I do.
Okay.
All right. This one's really long. This doesn't look like a correction.
Just fucking tell us what we got wrong.
I'll come back to that one. So this one, regarding 2B, this is the same thing. Her sexy outfit is never used as a plot element. Additionally, there are also male characters in the game who are just as sexualized to the point of being naked in some scenes. However, Yoko Taro has stated that 2B's outfit was designed strictly for having sexy female characters. So take that for what you will. So as somebody who hasn't played Nier yet, I can't give any context, but clearly this is some context saying that she's sexy just for the sake of being sexy because the creator of her said so.
Gotcha.
In which case, you kind of have a little bit of a right to be angry about that.
Sure.
That's kind of unfortunate that he would just openly admit that. But I mean, it's his art. So like,
His game, well, yeah, go make it your
do
creation.
I like that? No. But do I have to play that game? No, I don't.
Good point. Good point.
You know, I'm at a point in my life, Greg.
Yeah, here, lay it on me. You're a married woman now, 21.
Yes, I just turned 21. I'm recently married. And I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm trying really hard to let go of some of the angst that I had when I was 20.
Yeah.
And say, you know what? You do you.
Yeah.
Just like,
Sure.
you do you out there. And I'm going to do me. And you can do you over there. And I'm going to do me over here. And I'm going to try not to be mad about you doing you.
Good point.
Unless you're hurting somebody else actively, then I think it's okay.
Okay.
But if you're hurting someone, then you know we're gonna have words.
Then we're gonna have
but
trouble. Yeah,
but
okay,
if you're just
okay.
minding your own business, you doing you, I'm trying really hard.
Just let it go. Let it
Just
go.
let it go.
Doesn't matter.
It's hard. It's
Oh,
tough.
yeah.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
a tough thing for me to do.
Okay.
But I'm working on it.
I'm glad you're doing it. We'll work through this together on Kind of Funny
Yes.
Games Daily.
And you guys out there who are listening and watching, hopefully we can all work on this together. Just you do you. Stop being so angry. That's
Next segment is a brand new one, submitted basically by two people. Charles J gives us the name, then JT Keebs gives us a spirited rant. It's called Step Your Game Up, and then in parentheses, Sony. So it could be anybody who needs to step their game up. But today, PlayStation, well, I'll just let it get to. I'm going to go to JT Keebs. It is a spirited rant. Well, here we are again. Sony shows us another terribly designed and embarrassing limited edition controller with Destiny 2. This thing literally looks like Target was selling $1 Destiny sticker sets, and the controller design was due in 20 minutes, so the designer panicked, just slapped them on a Glacier White DualShock 4. Uncharted was simply blue. Star Wars was slightly better with some color variation. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was decent color mod too, but this glimmering white turd is a slap in the face to people who would love a well-designed limited edition DualShock 4 for their favorite series. My question is, should Sony outsource design contests? He's mad about the controller. That's the same thing Charles J said.
This is the controller. Have you seen it?
I have seen it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's 3 Destiny 2 decals put on a Glacier White controller, pretty much. And that's what, Charles J wrote in about this, and he says their latest controller is literally a standard DualShock 4 White version 2 with logos slapped on it. At first, I didn't care, but then I started to think Spider-Man could get an amazing controller, but then realized, wait, that'll never happen because Sony needs to step their game up with these custom controllers. Damn, people are mad about custom controllers, Andrea.
Well, maybe somebody from Sony could write to the show and let us know the process for how these are handled. Because
Don't do that. You
I
get
don't.
fired.
I don't know who's in charge of the final design. Is it PlayStation or is it the IP holder? Right? Like, is this Bungie's bad design or is this Sony's bad design?
I can't imagine.
Regardless, we can agree that it's a bad
ugly.
design.
Yeah, that doesn't motivate me to go buy it at all.
It's sad because the original Destiny Glacial White PS4 was beautiful. The gold, like etching on the top of the console I have at home. I love that. That's really excellently done. If they had done something like that for this controller, I would have ran out and bought one. I don't need another one, but I would get it anyway.
And see, that's the interesting thing is like people are talking about the controllers and then it's the bundles and all these different things. What's interesting now is I feel like for the first time this generation, the ability to make a special edition console actually really matters. Before it was always, I got a PlayStation 4, why would I care? Darth Vader PS4, that's cool, whatever. Now if they're actually doing, hey, here's a PlayStation 4 Pro bundle, you know what I mean? If they come out with Spider-Man, they're like, hey, we have a fucking kick-ass Spider-Man PlayStation 4 Pro, that's the kind of thing where like, all right, well, you know, I want to get a Pro eventually and have it menus run better. Why not get it and make it look like Spidey? That'd be awesome. But if it's just going to be fucking stickers all over it.
Yeah, I think... They could make such a great console if they if they came up with a good idea for a Spider-Man bundle. But I don't know. I know some people at PlayStation.
Yeah.
Maybe I can find out who's in charge and we can submit an idea.
Put on your reporter hat. We're gonna submit. Oh, I like this. We start a contest. We all start designing Spider-Mans.
Ooh. I don't know though, because Spider-Man's technically owned by Disney. And Disney's like real specific about their stuff.
We know Bill over at Marvel Games.
Let's reach out to Marvel.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe that'll be a better path to victory.
I think it would be. Yeah, okay. I like
Let's
where we're
do
going with this. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started on that. But remember, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily each and every weekday here on a variety of platforms. We run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about, getting deep into it, talking about it, being filthy. Then we answer your questions, put out your PSN names, do all that jazz, new segments. Write in, do whatever you want. KindaFunny.com/KFGD. Remember, this is a product of KindaFunny.com. Go there to keep the mics on. Please subscribe to us on iTunes, podcast services around the globe. Let's subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to Patreon, all that jazz. You know what I'm talking about. And until next time, no. It's been our pleasure to serve you. Happy birthday, Andrea.
Thank you. Real quick, Charles J. Write to KindaFunny.com/KFGD with what you wrote about Transistor and Supergiant and Pyre, because it's too big and it's not a you're wrong, but we could talk about it if you write it on the other thing.
Do that and we'll bring it up on Thursday.
Yeah. We'll shake hands again.
Okay. The mic was in my way this time.